Yes. All right. So, without further ado, we shall begin. For those of you having a fabulous day, I hope this keeps it going fabulous. And if it doesn't, just get off. For those of you that are not having a fabulous day, well, maybe we can change that a little bit. All right. First, the disclaimers. The results here are provided for general information purposes as a convenience to you, the viewers. The materials are not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person, firm, or corporation. Even further, this is not a solicitation to buy or sell any security ever. This is not advice. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And you should read the characteristics and risks of standardized options, which is a document available on the OCC website. Before I get to the agenda, I'm going to do the pre-agenda agenda. And this is it. Excellent results since the last webinar, which was on November 18th. They're better than what we emailed because time has progressed. Another 150 alerts, and we will be introducing a new AI strategy not currently in TradeMachine, inspired by the great Max Katz, who is in the community. He is our ambassador, former commodity options market maker, there to help all TradeMachine members. You should go in community and talk to Max, and he gets credit for the inspiration of this new AI strategy. Now, let's go to the agenda. This is the agenda slide. Pretty interesting. We'll talk about trading in general. We'll do it in the platform, then the portfolio. As I noted, a new strategy never discussed before. And that was the agenda slide. Look how quickly we're going. Look how quickly we're going. Okay, trading generally. Why am I talking about trading generally? Three reasons. First of all, I'm compulsive, so that's one. Two is because I think in the book of life, so each of us are our books of life. Hopefully we can all say, I'll speak for myself. Hopefully I can say, or someone says, like, my epitaph reads, he did well for people. At the very least, I hope it says he tried to do well for people, which is, that's still a high bar. So let's try and do that. So if you have not had success in trading, especially options, although really any trading. So if you trade bond futures or whatever, like there's a chance it's the mistakes here that explain your performance, not the TradeMachine stuff, just this thing. And so this first bullet, well, it's a second bullet point. This is something I repeat a lot, and there's going to be a lot of TradeMachine members who are going to say, Ophir, like, I appreciate it. Can you just stop with the same introduction every time? I can't because of my epitaph. The epitaph that will never be written but lives in my mind. It must be that I at least tried to do good. It must be. I cannot imagine existing without that, at least that effort. Sorry. For those of you who haven't seen it, you're going to go on a little bit of a roller coaster. One thing I can promise all of you, it's shorter than normal. Okay. You have heard me say, for a successful trading career, I'm talking about this thing, trading generally, right? Okay. We have to look at the long arc, and I believe that option traders need a portfolio of trades. What is a portfolio of trades? I'm glad you asked. That means some trades which are long volatility. If you don't know what that is, it means you basically are buying options. You can think of a trade as long volatility if it's a debit, if it costs you money. Okay, but you also need short volatility, right? So it's short options, not naked. Neither of these are naked. But that means like if you're doing a trade and you're receiving a credit, you're pretty much short volatility. This is broad strokes, but it's close enough. If you want a real lesson on Vega and Gamma and all that, then Jason did that, and we have legit education. But this is so we can move quickly. But you need more than being long vol and short vol. You have to be prepared to have trades like if there's a bull market. We've roughly been in a bull market, right? Or not roughly, we've been in a bull market. But you also have to be prepared for a bear market. But there's also things, so in between a bull and a bear market, if you're going from a bull market to a bear market, stocks are falling. If you're going from a bear market to a bull market, stocks are rising, right? So you have to be prepared for those too, recovering or falling markets. This, broadly speaking, would cover a portfolio of trades. You still have to know what they are, but if you look at the trades you have that you're prepared to do and they cover these things, you can say, yeah, I think I have a portfolio of trades, roughly speaking. I have been reticent to share actual setups. You guys know that. There's some pressure to being followed so closely, right? And I focus more on like guiding principles, things like this, right? But in the last webinar, you guys kind of broke me. I just shared 140 alerts. And the 140 alerts did this. They're missing one piece, which is sector diversification, which is what we're going to do today. But they definitely covered all all five of those things. I did, however, say that just because these are 140 alerts, we're doing, just to be clear, we're doing another 150 today. I'm not going to review the old ones. I said they're not meant to be the end all be all, right? It's just I did like broad strokes before, and then I did more specific. So they're explicit examples, but they're not end all be all. And what I mean that they're not end all be all is I mean they're not end all be all. And what I mean when I say they're not end all be all, I mean they're not the end all be all. Those were examples. These next 150 are examples. Yes, we agree. No one on this webinar thinks that Ophir will tell you what to do. You will therefore make money, and that is what TradeMachine is. That is not what TradeMachine is. That is not what Ophir will do. And if that is what you want, this will not be a productive software for you. However, on the webinar, in the webinar on November 18th, where I finally said, okay, fine, here's some of my alerts. All right. I did show a full-blown portfolio other than sector diversification. So before we get into trading generally, before we talk about new alerts, it is fair now, since I did put trades out there, that we have a scorecard. That's fair. So here are the results of those 140 alerts from November 18th through March 20th or 21st. I didn't update it like this morning. You guys are just gonna have to, it's within Thursday. I think I did it Thursday. So here they are. These are the alerts. There's a bunch of types of trades. Some of them didn't happen. By the sell-off just didn't happen. It's okay. It's a rare trade. But for these 4 months, we saw 27 wins, 8 losses, 77% win rate, an average like 3-week trade of 37%. These are outstanding results. 35 total trades in 4 months is about 9 trades a month. I know that you have some liquidity questions. I'm going to satisfy those as well. So in general, what I'm trying to show you is not that I'm so smart, really not at all. Everything I did was in TradeMachine. I just want to show you that I did some back testing. It ended in November 18th because that's when we were doing the webinar. And then we just let it run for 4 months. And it's not a mystery that we're now doing a webinar 4 months later. It's like, okay, let's take a little bit of look at the track record. Oh my God, the track record's very similar to what we expected. So this is some evidence for you that back testing may actually work, in particular when you layer on our proprietary artificial intelligence. Since I'm going to be sharing an actual portfolio of new alerts, that's my job. You also have a job, and this is where I'm going to repeat myself. You understand my job. My job last webinar was to do this. My job this webinar is to do that again. More alerts, different sectors. Okay, new strategy. But you have a job too, and many of you are familiar with this. Those of you who are not, get ready for a dose of reality. A lot of people say they want to do something. Okay? A lot of people say they want to do something. But what they really mean is they like the idea of something. And if you want to know the difference, think of something you daydream about from time to time, but you've never really pursued. You like the idea of that. You don't really want it. And by the way, liking the idea of things is perfectly fine. In fact, I can't imagine being alive without having some daydreams, without liking the idea of doing things. How could you survive in a world that's only based in reality? That reality can be quite harsh. But you should know the difference, because this is the difference between dollars and cents in trading. Understand the difference. You say, oh, well, what's the difference? Okay, well, let's talk about the difference. In my opinion, if you want to be a successful trader and you're able to disentangle this difference, wanting something and liking the idea of something, then your focus will be on the following 3 things. TradeMachine members, here comes our mantra. A process or a plan. Since I've talked about these things, I'm going to introduce someone. I had a conversation with someone you may know, Ben Franklin. Yes, Ben Franklin is dead. We're close anyway. We're tight, me and Ben. Everyone talks about having Benjamins. Okay, well, I brought Benjamin. So here's what I talked to Ben Franklin. We had a little bit of argument about electricity. He was right. Um, and I said, well, Ben, what do you think about this idea of a process or a plan? And you know what he said? He said this. He said, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. It's like, wow. So I'm going to use that in the webinar. He said, that's okay. I said, okay. I said, do I have to give you credit for it? He said, come on, Ophir, I have to give you credit for it. So I'm giving Ben credit. I say you need a process or a plan. And he says, well, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Then I like to tell people, right, we need patience. That's patience with yourself and with the plan. And I told Ben, I said, what do you think about that, man? He said, oh, he that can have patience can have what he will. I said, wow. I said, you speak oddly, but I'm gonna paraphrase. He said, don't paraphrase me, take the quote. I said, all right. This is Benjamin's quote. All right, and the third thing you need is effort. And there's two things about effort. I'm gonna give you the bad news first and the good news second. I like to finish on a good note. Here's the bad news. It's probably not going to be as easy as you want it to be. You think, I want to be a trader. I want to trade options. I want to be profitable. I want to get those results TradeMachine showed me. Let's do it. Yeah, it's not going to be that easy. But there's a good part. Now, as I was telling Ben Franklin this, he interrupted me. He's very talkative. He's incredibly talkative. And I said, yeah, well, Ben, I haven't said the other part. He said, no, I don't want to hear the second bullet point yet. He said, something I want to tell you, Ophir. I said, yeah. He said, laziness travels so slowly that poverty soon overtakes him. I told him again, I said, that's really clever. You're saying if you're not putting in effort, you're lazy. And I said, can I paraphrase that? Because you speak like in old English. And he said, no, you cannot paraphrase me. You have to quote me. I said, all right. Ben Franklin says, laziness travels so slowly that poverty soon overtakes him. And then he had more to say. He said, when you are finished changing, you're finished. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, just because you're familiar with something and you want to do that, that doesn't mean you shouldn't look at the things that you're unfamiliar with so you can progress. And I said, man, that's really good for TradeMachine. You must have an appetite in life. And since I'm not talking to you about life, I'm talking about trading. You must have an appetite to run toward that which is not familiar to you, because the things that are familiar to you aren't working. When you are finished changing, you're finished. And I thought Ben was so good, I'm just going to have all four things that he said. Basically, he said, you need a plan. He said, you need to have patience. And he said, you need to have effort. I was like blown away. I was like, wow, man, that's exactly what I tell traders. This is exactly what I could not believe Ben Franklin was on the TradeMachine train. I looked back. He's been a member for like 7 years. It's amazing. So in all seriousness, I told you there's the bad part of effort. It's probably not going to be as easy as you want it to be. I do want to give you the good news about effort. It's also probably going to be more satisfying than you think it will be. And the reason it will probably be more satisfying than you think it will be is actually because it's probably not going to be as easy as you want it to be. There's something very satisfying as human beings when we accomplish something and it simply took effort. It just is. It's far less satisfying to win the lottery than it is to earn $10 million. It just is. And just look at every lottery winner in the history of time and look what happens to their lives. They're actually worse off because they didn't put in the effort, which says something about the human condition. So know the difference about wanting to do something and liking the idea of something. It's okay to like the idea of doing things, to have daydreams and to not really pursue them. God bless you. I certainly have them. But if that's what you think about trading, like, man, I just have these dreams about like trading and being so successful, this would be awesome. And you never really do anything about it, then just that's fine. Don't start committing capital to it because you're going to lose your money. And that wonderful daydream you had is going to ruin your life. Okay, so one last thing. The process and plan part, I can help with. TradeMachine can help with. The effort part, TradeMachine can do partially for you. I can't really do a lot about the patience thing. So some of us, not me, are just naturally patient people. And you're just that's a beautiful character trait to have, honestly. And so the patience part won't be that hard for you. Some of us, like me, we're not naturally patient. I'm not a patient man. Those of you who know me for the last 10 years doing CML, by the way, CML turns 10 years next month. For those of you that have been with me for that long, you probably have picked up over the last several years or decade that I'm not the most patient man. So this was actually really the hardest part for me. Effort has never been a problem for me. Having a process was never hard for me. Patience was hard for me. So I can't help with this. That's one thing that like you kind of got to bring yourself. I have some personal views that might help you as an impatient person that might help those of you who are impatient. So I'm going to try with that. Okay. So here's what I have to say. Take it or leave it. I'm just trying to address this thing that I can't, that TradeMachine can't help you with. The journey to loving and understanding yourself is not a race, I assure you. I'm 47, if you're wondering how old the person speaking is. Okay. I was 37 when we started CMO. I was a market maker at 32. Okay. I'm different. It's just not a race. It's a walk. Um, what I have learned with regard to patience is just to be gentle with myself. Okay. Cherish yourself, be patient with yourself, and a plan will help with your patience as long as you do this one thing. And TradeMachine members know what this one thing is. It's the one time that I'll use bad language on the slideshow. If there are children who are watching this, and I'm so honored that some of you bring your kind of young ones to watch, like, hey, here's to introduce trading. You need to mute your audio for a second until I get off the slide. So I'm generally a very kind man, but I do have to be realistic with you when it comes to trading, because ultimately you're not really here to you're not here to listen to my life views. You're on a trading webinar. So I get that. I'm not here to preach, to literally preach Ben Franklin. All right. So just for a moment, kind of find yourself, feel your butt on your chair, touch your hands, just be present for a second. Okay. Stop looking at your phone just for a second, and then you can go back to your phone. Just listen. And if you're watching the slides, you could even close your eyes. Okay. And listen to this next thing I'm going to say. A plan can help with patience as long as you write it the fuck down. Write it down. Don't sort of write it down. Don't think you know it. Don't have it in your mind. Don't use a piece of scratch paper. Write it down. Write it down. You want to know a part of effort? Right here. If you don't write it down, then you have to run. You don't have to. I recommend you run toward the thing that is unfamiliar to you. Life is hard. Life is fast. Life is busy. I got it. If you want to trade, in my opinion, you need a plan and you need to write it the fuck down. And if you don't have the time to write it down, don't trade. If that effort cannot be exercised by you, just stop. There's so many other things you can do with your life. One of the most celebrated, maybe the most celebrated trader ever, Jesse Livermore. We love him. He is the basis for the book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. There's one thing you should know about Jesse Livermore. Jesse Livermore's life died with a pistol in his mouth. He killed himself. The most celebrated trader ever. This is not an easy thing. One way to make it easier is to develop patience. And one way to develop patience is to have a plan. And one way to exercise that patience in a plan is to write it the fuck down. Write it the fuck down. If I knew Jesse Livermore, that's what I would have told him. I don't think he would have ended up with a pistol in his mouth. Don't like the idea. Want it. Here's your first test. If you like the idea, you're not going to write it down. If you want it, you're going to write it down. The red is your job. I told you what my job is. I'm about to do it. This is basically the end of the slideshow. Right? A process or a plan, I'll show you how to do that. Patience, can't help you with that. Effort, I'll help partially. The part you have to do, write it down. Don't like the idea, want it. This is effort. It will take effort. To have a portfolio of trades that historically do better at different times of the market cycles in order to make the long arc of a trading career successful. This is trading in general. Well, what is a portfolio? We have live help sessions. Max ran them. I did some. Jason Hitchings, our CTO and the creator of TradeMachine, runs them with Amanda, our head of client support. In live help sessions that I did, I did this, right? We have a strategy called Spread the Sell-Off plus AI. I showed a couple of sectors. Something called Buy the Sell-Off with AI. I showed 3 sectors. I talked about when stocks have technical strength. Another strategy with our AI, went over several sectors, multiple time frames. Then I did when a stock recaptures technical failure. I want to move this slide up a little bit. Okay. It was like a fade the dip. I showed like what when it doesn't work, right? So I'm going to move these. I'm going to scrunch this together too. This is a portfolio of trades, right? This is what we're going to do right now. So this is a little ethereal, and it's going to be explicit in a second. And just to be really, really clear, remember what I said at the beginning? It's different market cycles: bull, bear, falling, rising. Okay. So this is when a stock has dropped and might recover. Okay? This would be like a recovering out of a bear. This is when a stock has technical strength. This would be a bull. When a stock recaptures technical failure, there you go. This would be more bear market, bull market, moving market. But it wasn't just different markets, right? I said it also had to be different types of trades, selling volatility and buying volatility. The green ones are selling volatility. The blue ones are buying volatility. Another way to say that is the green ones receive a credit. The blue ones have a debit. I say always spreads, and always isn't a great word. I actually like to say never and always, unless you're saying never to saying never and always. So I shouldn't have said always spreads. I'll say usually spreads. And then the last thing is different sectors. That's the part I did not do in the last webinar. There was only so much I could put into everyone's brains in one webinar. The second webinar was already planned. This is a portfolio of trades, and we will have our portfolio of trades today. Okay, and that's it. Okay, now we're going to go into the platform. That was my slideshow. You never have to hear me say that again until the next webinar. We will talk about a new strategy at the end. One thing that I'm going to bring back again and again. Backtesting is at the core of this. I look for strong results in a sector first, like the entire sector. I want something to have worked. If and only if it works in that sector, then I'm willing to find the best performers for a certain strategy in that sector, and I'm willing to trade them. But it must work for the sector first. I am not going to cherry pick the best trades in a sector if it doesn't work for the sector, because that feels like overfitting to me. So let's do the portfolio. I'm going to exit, hypothetically. Legit. Cool. A little more painful than I thought. And now we're going to go into TradeMachine. Hypothetically, I'm prepared. I am prepared. Okay, guys. The last webinar talked about the tech sector. I'm going to go through the same 4 strategies in other sectors, and then I'm going to introduce a new strategy back in the tech sector. But first, let's be complete so we can be sector diversified and actually have a portfolio of trades. I will click on the backtest tab. Oops. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That was my bad. Backtest tab. Here's how we do it. Nice and easy. If you guys recall, the first strategy I discussed was called Spread the Sell-Off with AI. Before I even do anything in TradeMachine, I just want people to recognize what it is this is doing. It's called a broken wing butterfly. Doesn't matter what the name is. They call it a butterfly because it's sideways. This looks like a butterfly. I don't know if you guys see it. I've never seen it. Some people think this looks like a butterfly. I don't know. The idea is the stock price is right here. Okay. If the stock goes up, as long as you do this trade for a credit, it's a profitable trade. You actually make the most money, though, if the stock goes down, right? So stock goes up, cool. Stock goes down, even better. If the stock goes down, which will happen about 20% of the time, okay, that's where you start losing money in this trade. And this trade is covered, so you're not going to lose your house because of this trade. You know very explicitly what your max loss is, but this is the trade we're talking about. I'm not going to go through the ins and outs of the buying and selling. That's done in live help. But at least I want you to understand the strategy we're looking at. Okay, so here we go. You go to save backtests. You go to spread the sell-off with AI, and you load it. Just load it. Just let it happen. TradeMachine's going to load. No problem. Great. Then I want to look over the last 3 years. Great. In the last webinar, we focused on the NASDAQ 100. I don't want to focus on the NASDAQ 100 because I want to be sector diversified. I've already got those alerts. I'm going to go to portfolios and I'm going to start with financials. And here's what's going to happen. TradeMachine is going to start ripping through every stock in the XLF, okay, in order to measure the performance of this strategy. It's remarkable. Okay, TradeMachine's getting overloaded. XLF, this ETF, is something like 150 names. I don't know exactly. If you are a monthly subscriber to TradeMachine, you can do everything I'm doing, but your portfolio will only load 50 tickers at once. Okay. If you are an annual subscriber, which we have a fancy name for, we call a platinum subscriber, your portfolio can have as much as 200 names. So you'll just be able to do this much faster. Also, platinum subscribers, these annual subscribers, back tests are 5 to 50 times faster. So you just roll through it faster. So you can do this if you're a monthly subscriber, absolutely. It's just easier if you're a platinum subscriber. Oddly, a platinum subscription is less expensive than monthly if you run it out by month. So if you want that upgrade at any time, you just email support. You always have that option. So I'm going to let this run. Okay, I'm going to let TradeMachine do it. Unfortunately, TradeMachine is getting crushed right now because everyone is following along with me. So this is going to take a little longer than I wanted. So we're going to have to entertain ourselves as TradeMachine does this. Yeah. Are you not entertained?
Did you not prepare a story for this?
My stories are for later. It's true though. I could bring Ben Franklin back. Okay, here we go. It's starting to, you can now see it's starting to go through. So sorry, guys, this webinar in general is going to take a little longer than I anticipated. It's okay. It's worth it. So what I'm going to be focusing on, I'm going to bring this back. This hypothetically have an image open. Yes. So if you remember, there was a slide and I'm just taking a snapshot of it. So backtesting is at the core. That's what we're doing. I'm looking for strong results in a sector first. If and only if the results are strong in the sector, will I go any further? I can log into another URL. Let me go here. I'll log in somewhere you guys can't see. Otherwise, everyone's going to use that URL. Okay. I will log in. Okay. Yeah, Jay, if you could email me your login and password, it doesn't. Oh, I think I do have that actually. Okay, I'm in. Okay, I'm going to try this, guys, to go a little faster, maybe. Anyway, so just remember, the first thing we have to do is look at that top line, right? How is it doing for the sector? I'm going to try this. I'm not going to stop the thing from running, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to save back tests. I'm going to go to spread the sell off with AI. I'm going to go to 3 years. I'm going to go to portfolios and I'm going to go to XLF, and yeah, it's just way faster. So this is our own machine. So let's watch how much faster it'll be. Oh, this is done. Great. Okay. So, by the way, there's 73 stocks. So platinum members would get all of these. So remember, it must be that the results are strong over the sector. These are very strong results for a sector. Since these results are strong for the sector, I'll bring the image back, right? It's an if and only if. It's an if and only if. I will find the best performers in the sectors if and only if the sector performs well. The sector did perform well. Now, here's our next step. I'm going to sort everything by average trade. I want to get alerts for companies that have strong average trades, but it's got to be 3 trades or more. Otherwise, it's just kind of not really holistic data. So I'm just going to start clicking them. I like this. I like this. This is only 2. If you can see where my when my cursor moves, it's highlighting a row. Makes it a lot easier. I'm looking for numbers there's more than 3 trades, 3 or more trades. Okay. I'm going to do this like this painfully slow a few times, and then I'm going to start ripping through it and give you the alerts. But it is worth it. So all I'm doing, if you're wondering why I'm skipping things, you can see these rows. There's only 1 trade for that ticker, so I don't want to do it. Okay, you can see these results. KeyBank, Prudential. think that's Fifth Third. Goldman Sachs, 8 wins, no losses, 44.7% per trade. I'll keep clicking them, clicking them, clicking them. I think that's that's American Express, but only 2 trades. MetLife, MSCI, Citigroup, INF. All right, you guys see what I'm doing? Very easy. Just click, click, click. All right, that's an exchange, the ICE exchange. I'm going to show you a quick, a shortcut when I do this, how to create your alerts faster than I've shown you before. We just changed it. Okay, this is all I got. Those are the ones. Actually, you know what? These average returns aren't high enough. I'm going to stop here. So the 18% is kind of like that. I don't want these average trades at 14%. So normally what I would do is I would add an alert with all of these, but it would be all the tickers. I want to show you a little trick. Okay, here's a TradeMachine trick. Click add alert. Take these tickers. Okay, I'm going to select, I'm actually going to go slowly. I'm going to use my right clicking, select all. I'm going to copy those tickers. When I go back to the backtest tab, I'm going to go to tickers. I'm going to paste those tickers in there. So now I'm only looking at the tickers I selected. And if I've done this correctly, I think this will be 42 trades. Yeah, there's JP Morgan in there. I like to see that. Yep, 42 trades. Okay, here's how the 42 best companies did. Okay, this is only relevant to me because the sector in general worked. Now I'm going to click add alert. It's got my 42 tickers. I'm going to write myself a note. This is spread the sell-off. Whoops. You will get this link. Don't worry about it. And I'm going to say financials. Okay. I'm going to click add alert. All 42 alerts were added. So this technical condition, which we can look at here, this occurs when a stock in the last 30 days is down 10% or more. It's what we call a correction. When the stock is already below the 200-day moving average, and 2 of our measures of artificial intelligence trigger at a certain level. I want you to remember those last 2 things because I'm going to apply that same logic in AI to a new strategy. Okay. So I've just added 42 alerts. Okay. How about the next strategy? The next thing I want to do is the pre-earnings diagonal. That's for a bull market, pre-earnings diagonal with AI. I'll load it. Let TradeMachine do its thing. I'll go to 3 years. I'll go to portfolios. And what I want to look at here first and foremost is, are the results good enough overall in the sector for me to pick the best? After that, I'm going to show you 2 strategies in a row where it fails, where I say, nope, don't want it. There are sectors where some strategies will fail. And because of that, there's a hole in the portfolio. And that's why I'm adding a new strategy. The hole is that we're selling more volatility than we're buying, which I'm generally okay with, but it's getting overwhelmed with selling volatility. Okay, this is a great trade. This is a 1-week trade in the sector, 63% win rate, 20% in a week. And I think we can all agree we're having a pretty good time. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm looking for more than 3 trades. Sorry, 3 or more, pardon me. Oops. All right. Here's Bank of America. Like to see that. Here's SIBO. Here's Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. Schwab. I'm actually okay with 2 wins and 2 losses here. My win rates, I don't get too excited about. It's the average return. I mean, I don't want a 10% win rate, but I think that's good enough. Well, let's go down there. All right, that's enough. So I've selected, I think that's 15 tickers. I'm going to do the same trick again. I'm going to click add alert, but rather than add the entire backtest, I'm going to right click, select all, right click, copy. I don't need this anymore. Don't need this anymore. Don't need this anymore. I'm going to go back to tickers. I'm just going to stick them in. This will give me hypothetically 15 alerts. 14. All right, well, I missed one. 14. And here's how those best 14 did. All right. This is a one week trade. going to add the alerts. This is the pre-earnings diagonal. So I'm going to write that pre-earnings diagonal. And this is financials. So when I get an alert for any of these tickers, this whole thing is going to come to me, and I'm going to know what exactly I am looking at. I think these notes, you don't need to put these notes to make TradeMachine functional, but if you're getting as many alerts as I am, for all intents and purposes, you do. You're like, what is this alert? So be kind to yourself, write notes. Okay. So we've now created 56 alerts. All right. The next one on the list is fade the dip with AI. This one is going to fail. I'm not going to bury the lead. Okay. I'm going to go to XLF. So this is what a platinum membership looks like. It goes this fast, just so you know. All right, so let's see how fading the dip, which is selling a put spread with AI, has worked in the financial sector over the last 3 years. And if it's worked well, cool. We'll pick the best performers. But, oops. Little surprise for CML Pro members there. Remember, I will only pick the best if and only if the sector itself performs well. Okay, here we are. That's just not good enough. The win rate's fine, but I don't want to do trade for 4% with commissions. That's break even. So I'm just not going to do this trade. I'm picking in the financial sector. I am taking no fade the dips. Not going to sort it. Not going to do check, check, check. That's it. And let's do the last one, which is buy the sell off. And then we'll get into energy, which is a really interesting sector. So buy the sell off with AI. I'll load it. This is how you do it in TradeMachine. Just load it. Let TradeMachine load a ticker. It's going to load a tech sector ticker. It's fine. Go to 3 years. Let TradeMachine do its thing. Now I'm going to go to financials. This one too will not work. By not work, I mean the results sector-wide aren't good enough for me to even consider going one by one. It's because of these realities as we go through some of these sectors that I had to introduce a new strategy. It's just the realities of how the market has changed over the last 3 years. And it does make sense that selling volatility has been really successful over the last 3 years because VIX has been really low and continues to stay low. But that means I want to prepare the portfolio for a different world. That got stuck. I shouldn't have closed the other one. Sorry. Go here. I'll start working on the faster machine. I'll just do it on this one. Here. I did this was buy the sell off with AI, load it, let it load a ticker, go to 3 years, go to portfolios, do XLF. Okay. The top line results, that summary line, this is what platinum normally looks like. It won't look good. And since it doesn't look good, I'm not going to add any more alerts for XLF for financials. We'll stick with 56 alerts. So let's just let it happen. Oh, Jay, internal isn't. That's funny. My internal account is not platinum. Okay. So you could make an argument this is good enough. I don't think it is because this buy the sell off is actually a 1-month trade. And don't get me wrong, I'll take 13% a month for the rest of my life. I'd be a billionaire. But this is with backtesting, you need to allow for some degrees of freedom, a little bit of like, it's not going to be quite as good as it looks. So this to me personally is a fail. And I'm going to say, yeah, I don't really want to get these alerts. Let's go to the next sector, and that's going to be energy. And I do think this is important to have a portfolio that is really disconnected from the rest of the market. So I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to spread the sell off, let it load a ticker. I'm going to do 3 years. And now I'm going to go to the energy sector. All right. This will look good across the sector. This is a very small portfolio, XLE. You can see the giants, ExxonMobil, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Schlumberger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Halliburton. Let's let it load. So what's interesting about the energy sector is spread the sell-off will work, but the pre-earnings diagonal won't. Fading the dip won't, but buying the sell-off will. So we do get that strategy, the buying the sell-off. It's just going to be in this sector. Okay. So sector wide, yeah, I'm going to take a 91% win rate and 43%. I'm in. Let's take the best, at least 3 trades. So Halliburton, PXD, Schlumberger, Devon, KMI, Marathon, and ConocoPhillips. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same trick. I'm gonna add the alert, but I only want to do those tickers. I'll come back here. I'll go to tickers. I'll throw them in there. This should give me 14 alerts, I think, if I did it right. 14 alerts. This is how well they've done. Awesome. I'm going to add these alerts. This is going to be spread the sell-off in energy. There you go. I'm now add another 14 alerts. So we're now at 70 alerts so far this webinar. Okay, great. Just trust me, the pre-earnings diagonal and fade the dip don't work in this industry. In other words, they don't pass what I would consider good enough for the industry, but what does, and what we have not seen yet, is buying the sell-off. So I'll load that strategy, click 3 years, and then I want to talk about what might not be obvious, but what is happening with our portfolio and how our portfolio is getting a little out of whack already, and how we're going to fix it. Energy. Nah, we're getting crushed. Okay. Oh well. Sorry, guys. Okay, here comes the portfolio test of energy for what is buy the sell-off. So something that did work in the QQQ, so in NASDAQ 100 that I showed last time, did not work in financials, at least for me, but does work in energy, which actually does make sense, especially with some of these mega caps. So doesn't happen very often. 7 wins. Actually, that shouldn't be the case. Huh. I think there was a bug there. These results are fine, but there's more trades than this. So I'm going to do 3 years again, as painful as it might be. I'm actually going to select the energy, this portfolio again, as painful as that might be. Super weird. Okay. And here are my favorite tickers. I'm willing to select ones that have only one trade. That's fine. So of my favorite tickers in energy, 15 and 0. This is over 3 years. It just doesn't happen very often. It's fine. It's running in the background. You'll get alerted. You get a text, you get an email when it happens. I want to add these 15 alerts. So I'll add the alert. This is the first time we're going to do buy the sell-off. And AI, and this is in energy. So there's another 15 alerts. So 15 or so. So that should put us at what are we at? Like 85, something like that. Okay, great. Okay, the last sector I'm going to do, and this is enough for me, technology, energy, financials, and healthcare are enough for me. Having said that, consumer staples are fine, basic materials are fine, whatever you like. This is the last one that I'm going to show. We will have a third webinar, which will really finish this off, but we're also in that webinar going to show a liquidity filter. So you're only getting alerts on trades where there's reasonable liquidity. You don't have to get an alert, look at it, and be like, dude, I can't trade this. Okay. So we're going to do, what do I want to, here I want to show one where fade the dip works, because so far fade the dip has not made the cut. It does make the cut in healthcare. Fade the dip plus AI. I'm going to load it, let it load. Let it load. Legit. Go to 3 years. Got it. Then I will go to healthcare. Healthcare is actually, I think, the largest portfolio other than software. So unfortunately, this one will take some time. This is Fade the Dip. I want to show you that it works well in the sector, and then I'll show you my favorites. I'll let that load too at the same time since we're here. I only get 8 alerts out of this, but it's worth it for me. So on this screen, I'm already loading my favorite tickers in Fade the Dip in healthcare. This is loading the whole thing. So this thing must show overall strength for the sector, and then I'm just going to preload the ones that I liked. So this top line must be strong in order for this screen to matter. So here are the ones that I liked in healthcare: 25 and 2, 104% average return. Hard not to like that. So I'm just going to add those 2 alerts. That is selling volatility. And now I'm going to show you a weakness we have. Fade the dip in healthcare. Awesome. Okay. Here is the whole sector. Here's how the whole sector did. That was definitely good enough for me to start picking the best. Okay. In total, I have 60 alerts in healthcare, which you guys will get. I'm going to show you. Don't worry. When I go back to the slideshow, you'll just see everything. There were 27 in energy, 57 in financials, 140 in tech. And I'm going to go back to the slideshow for a second, show you a weakness, and show you about our new strategy. Okay, here we go. Okay. So this is what we just did. This is what XLF was. This was financials. Okay. We had spread the sell off, pre-diagonal. Here's how the trades looked, win rates, average returns. These 2 failed. And this gave us 56 alerts. In XLE, so energy, spread the sell-off looked great, 14 alerts. Oops. Buy the sell-off worked, the other 2 failed. So this gives us another 27 alerts. Here's the total averages. All right. I'm going to make this a little smaller, smushed together so I can put in healthcare. Okay. So now here comes healthcare. Healthcare worked in 3 of the 4 strategies. We obviously have, as many strategies as you like in TradeMachine. I like to keep it to a small number, but it turns out that small number is too small. I'm going to show you why. Here's the problem. So by the way, here's 60 plus 27 plus 66, 56. Okay. Here's the problem. That the vast majority of trades are coming from spread the sell-off. It's a great trade. I'm okay with it. But that means, remember what I said a portfolio needed to be? It's just a lot of vol selling. So if I'm going to be meticulous, which I think we should be, about defining and implementing a portfolio, it's got to be the case that we pay attention to all of it. Yes, we looked at 4 strategies. Yes, we're looking at 4 sectors now because we did the technology in the prior webinar, right, with NASDAQ 100. That's true. But if we're really, and it's different types of action in the market: bull market, bear market, recovering market, falling market. But if we're really intellectually honest, this is really, really heavy on selling vol. And we can add a vol buying strategy. We should add a 5th strategy, which buys volatility, such that we can truly be diversified. Okay? So let's do that. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a new strategy, which Max inspired big time. It's going to be buying the dip, and I want to show you something. If you just do the current buy the dip in TradeMachine, it sucks. People have picked up on our strategies. It happens quite often. This is why we're implementing AI. The win rate wasn't that good, although that doesn't really matter. The average return of 5% that's just commission, so I don't consider that winning. I turned it into a call spread with Max's inspiration. The win rate went up, but the average return, not really. I then added our AI, and look what happened. The win rate went from 42% to 53%. I'm going to show this to you. The average return went from 5% to 19%. And I added 16 alerts. Let me show it to you. Let me show you what I did. It's a construct. This is how you can use TradeMachine to start constructing your own thoughts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to here. I'm just going to select buy the dip. Okay. This is what it's born of this strategy, buy the dip. Great. Sweet. Oops. That was my bad. Okay. Okay. So we're going to do buy the, we're going to load one ticker. That's fine. We'll do it for 3 years. That's fine. We're going to do it in the NASDAQ 100. You know the results aren't going to be very good. I showed it to you. I just want to prove it to you. It's fine. Platinum's ripping now. Okay. So this is buy the dip. And the question is, how do I create a strategy that's buying volatility, which doesn't really exist in TradeMachine yet, but makes use of the things we know in TradeMachine that work, right? So this is where effort comes in, right? This might be a little unfamiliar to you, but it's completely in the realm of your intellectual capacity, completely in the realm of your intellectual capacity. So here comes the buy the dip results. Remember, it'll be like a 42% win rate, yeah, and a 5% return. Like that's not good enough. So we say to ourselves, how do I do things that have been working in the past? And I know that are similar to the other strategies, but start layering on some of the things that are different than this. So first of all, this is just buying a call. And you know how I feel about that. Remember, I had that thing that says spread always. And I said, you shouldn't really say the word always, but pretty close to always. So the first thing I want to do is say, well, I'm going to take a picture of this. I'm gonna have this here, and then I'm gonna mark it up a little bit so you know I'm not making it up, like blah. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this image back. Okay, so I'm gonna go to call spread, and I want to do a 50-30 call spread. That means I want to buy an at the money call and sell an out of the money call. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna let it run. And what will happen is the results will be the win rate will be better, the return will be a little better. This is our benchmark, right? This is the benchmark that is just not good enough to do buy the dip anymore. There's my squiggle, so you know it's real. Right there is my squiggle. Okay, so let's let this happen. So the first thing we're doing is all of the other strategies I showed you are spreads. So the first things first is like, okay, well, what's wrong? First, let's turn it into a spread. First things first. All right, it's just happening, happening, happening. Again, platinum members are going to get it this fast and you can do the whole strategy. Okay, so here it is. So we went from a 42% win rate to a 48% win rate. Average return went from 5.4 to 6.4. I don't even know if these numbers are statistically significantly different. I'll bet you these are. Okay, so the first thing is every strategy we've looked at has been a spread. Okay, good. But there's something else they did. They all used our AI. So I want to go. So this is the window. I'm going to open another window. I'm going to look at spread the sell off, which has worked so well, right? And I want to look at the AI settings there. So this is fine. I just want to load one ticker. I don't care about anything else. I'm going to go to the technical open, and it's this. This is what I want. This is our AI settings. I actually have it saved as an image right here. So you can just verify that I'm not making stuff up. Okay. So this part is the same as this part. I just took a snippet. Okay. So I want to take our spread and add this to it and see if it makes a difference. Okay. I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to the technical open. I'm going to drag my picture back. I'm like, okay, I need to add these two things. First is 6 months asymmetry has to be below 0. Okay. Move that out of the way. I'll go to 6-month asymmetry and it'll be below 0. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, I'll bring the image back. In the last year, the tailoredness is below 0. Okay. Now, again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. You don't have to be an AI scientist because this is already built into another strategy, which I'm referencing that was doing so well. We should use those AI settings. Now, let's see how we do. And remember, this was our benchmark. Okay, I'll draw on it again, just a little less. Yes, that's what I want to do. Just let me draw. Okay, that's the old one. So let TradeMachine. So what have we done? We've made it a spread. We've added our AI settings, which are proprietary. This is effort. When I talk about effort, this is what effort is. You're like, the portfolio is supposed to have buying vol and selling vol and different kinds of markets. It's kind of dominated by this one trade. I need something that's buying vol, something that's different. How do I do that? Right? Well, let me take an existing strategy and make it look like the others. It wasn't a spread, make it a spread. It didn't have AI, I'm going to add AI. And what AI will I add? I don't know. I'll just mimic the AI that's in the other strategy that was working. All of a sudden, we're here. From a 42% win rate to a 51% win rate, from a 5% return to a 15% return. Now that's good enough for me to say, aha, now let me pick the best. I want at least 3 trades, and you know this process, guys. That's Dollar Tree, Adobe. This is tech, so you're going to see some names you should recognize since we're all kind of tech obsessed. You actually could choose Fastenal if you wanted to. Amazon, Amgen, PDD, ODFL, Intuit, CDNSS, Autodesk, Qualcomm if you want. I would say this is the bottom for me, 18%. Okay, so I'm going to go to add alerts. I'm going to select all. I'm going to right click, copy. I'm going to put these tickers in. These are the ones I really want. And hypothetically, if I did that right, I should have maybe 16 alerts. Did I do that right? 15 alerts. Okay. So these are the ones I want. Here's how they've looked. I'm going to go to add alert now. And here's a new one. This is buy the dip as a spread with AI in the queues. So I've just added 15 alerts. Now what you should be thinking is, I wonder how this did in financials. I wonder how this did in energy. I wonder how this did in healthcare. Right? That's the effort. It's not that hard, but it is effort. I'm not going to do that for you. That's going to be webinar number 3, where we will have a full blown, this is now 300 trades. It'll be more like 450 when we're done, 500 when we're done. We will layer on top of it a liquidity filter so that alerts you're getting satisfy the type of liquidity you want, trades you can actually do if you want to. It'll make this list of 500 shrink again, but they'll all be alerts you can act on. And I don't think you should only use TradeMachine based on what I'm doing, these 5 strategies, all with our AI and whatever. But if you wanted to, by the next webinar with our liquidity measure, if you so desired, like I like this process. This feels like a process or a plan. This is taking patience. This is putting in the effort. If you wanted to, I think you could survive quite well as a trader with the alerts once this entire portfolio is done. I think you should do more, find yourself, find the things you're comfortable with, but I think that's it. I just want to remember, just because I've only done 4 industries doesn't mean you can't do other industries, right? I mean, oftentimes consumer staples or basic materials are phenomenal places to be because they can act differently than technology. Okay. So let me go back to the slideshow, which is for all intents and purposes 99% done. Okay. So remember I said, well, gosh, we're selling a lot of vol. We can add a vol buying strategy. By the way, you guys are going to get all the links to these alerts you're going to get. I'm going to have to write it down. I said, well, let's do buy the dip. Let's make it a spread. Make it a spread. Let's add AI. What AI? Well, the AI that was working in spread the sell-off. Right. Now I'll select the best, and I've got more alerts. And now that I've done that in the QQQ, now I can do it financials. Now I can do it in energy. Now I can do it in healthcare. And lo and behold, I'm going to have another 50 alerts or 60 or 70 alerts, which balance this. Right? Now we're creating a portfolio of trades. Okay. Now we're honoring those definitions I had at the very beginning. Right? Let's go back. Right here. It sure looked like I had this, but when I looked at the results, I was like, actually, I'm kind of doing a little bit too much of this. A little bit too much of this. So I want more of this. We did it. So we turned it into a spread. We used our AI, which of course is proprietary. Then we're going to do it in different sectors. Now we're really honoring the process. So you see, even for me, it takes effort. I thought I was done. And then when I took a sort of intellectually honest look at what I had done, I was like, you know what? That's not honoring a portfolio. I need to do more. That's the effort. It happens for me too. All right. If you're not a TradeMachine member, if you go to get TradeMachine 5, so take this URL. I'll put it in chat, I guess. Here, let me just put it in chat. I want to show you something, and then I'm going to answer questions. So let me go into chat, wherever chat is. Here's chat. I'll send it to everyone. And then you put this coupon code webinar9. You can get TradeMachine for 9 days for $9. So you're not sure? In 9 days, you should be sure. Sorry, you just should be. If you put in the effort, you should be sure. There it is. I put it in chat. And then the last thing, I was talking to Ben, and I said, how should I close the webinar, Mr. Franklin? And he said, how about this? He said, why don't you do this? I said, should it be about trading? He said, it shouldn't be about trading. It's the last thing he told me. He's on my WhatsApp, Ben Franklin. He said, speak ill of no man, but speak all the good you know of everybody. Turns out Ben Franklin was a great trader. He's a pretty good guy too. All right, guys, I'm going to pause now. I'm going to take a bathroom break, and then I'm going to take all your questions live. You will get all of the alerts I showed you, even the ones that I didn't go through, in an email if you're registered, which you are. So you'll have another 150 or so. You will have the reconstructed by the dip. So you don't have to, you can either go back and see how I did it, or you can just receive it as a URL, as a link, and you can start going through it. Give me 1 second. I just have to go to the bathroom. I'm actually going to leave this up. I think that's good to leave up. I'm going to pause the recording, and Mandy will remind me to start recording again because I'll forget. Let me pause the recording.
And while he's doing that, everybody go ahead and
Recording. I will exit the slideshow. I will start the video. You can now look at me. Oh, I should probably stop sharing my screen. Stop share. Now you can really look at me.
I mean, maybe they wanted to look at the Ben Franklin quote the rest of the time.
It's fair. He doesn't like me to share his phone number, so I won't do that. But... All right, guys. I would just like to point out that in 1 hour, I did my whole spiel about process, plan, and effort, process, patience, and effort. Showed 150 more alerts, introduced a new strategy, and shared Ben Franklin quotes. That's not bad for an hour. All right, go ahead. I appreciate the clap. Look at that, the claps and the celebration emoji. I appreciate that.
Just as a reminder, if you have questions, drop those in Q&A. We're going to go strictly from Q&A this time. I know it's super confusing because we normally use chat for live help. But
some things I need to add. Sorry, I'm going to share my screen for a second before I owe it to everyone who's watching. Sorry. First of all, okay, I'll just leave my camera on. It doesn't matter. Yeah. If you go to community, please. And you sign in, and you're like, wait, we have a former market maker who's there to help, who showed Ophir a new strategy. Yes, actually, there he is. He has a green link, and if you want to, you just say @chat, and it's going to be Uncle Pops. Well, best if you click it. You say, hey Max, thanks for helping. Also, I don't know how to trade.
or type.
I don't know how to type, nor do I understand what Ophir said. Help. And Max will do so. He's like the Ophir whisperer. We have people sharing awesome trades here, like Canuck Dave, Fish Sticks, Susan's in here. I was going to say Susan, yet another Dave. Everyone, I shouldn't have started naming people because now people are going to feel like I left them out. I think it's Canuck Dave there's someone in here, several, Canuck Dave is one of them who writes it the fuck down. They actually have an image. It says WITFD. I think it was Dave. WITFD, write it the fuck down. So
Yet another Dave.
yet another Dave said, write it the fuck down. So that's community. That's one thing I wanted to show. We have live help once a week, like live help. You can just ask questions like, how does this button work? Max is in here during the days, 5 days a week. So you can have chat help, you can have community help, you can have live help with Jason and Mandy. You have the Learn tab, which is Mandy is reconstructing in a magnificent way. Here is like deep education, like legit options education. The first 4 parts are from Jason. The last 2 are from me. It's really good if you're trying to learn about options. And anything you wonder about TradeMachine, do it here. So that was it. And for those of you who I said, how do you do the coupon code? I'll just show you. Go get TradeMachine 5, blah, 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 blah. Get TradeMachine. And then there's a coupon thing, and you would write in webinar 9, right? Like web. And that's how you would get TradeMachine 9 days
If
for
you hit
$9.
enter,
Hit enter.
Ophir, it'll
Yeah.
actually show it. Yep. There
Oh,
you go.
look at that. Yeah. And
that
then
way you know it goes through.
that's right. And then of course it's $99 a month. So we're not actually giving you that forever, but okay, I owed everyone that, and now I can stop sharing for real. And we can go to Q&A. So
all right. Is this scorecard based on all alerts called out by TM?
no, all the ones that I shared in the webinar before on November 18th, which I shared out the links to. I shared links to. This was 140 alerts, of which these are the ones that triggered. So imagine this webinar, but before only for the Qs. That's how it's done in the last 4 months.
And that webinar is available on the Learn tab, I believe under Getting Started, but if you search 140 alerts, you will find it.
Also, when Mandy sends out an email for these alerts, she's going to include the prior one for it just be all in one place. You get the 140 prior, the 150 now, you have your 300 alerts.
Yep. All right. Can you give the rationale why you are picking these strategies?
Yes. So I'll share the screen again, and I don't know how satisfying the answer is going to be because it's something I've already spoken about. It's a very good question though, and I like reiterating. You can see my screen. Yes, you can.
Yes.
It's this. I looked for strategies which had our AI implemented, which satisfied all of these things. Buying vol and selling vol equally, 2 bought, 2 sold. Their spreads, right? 4 different markets, right? When a stock has dropped, it may recover. When a stock has already recaptured its technical failure, I would call when a stock recaptures failure, which is also what buy the dip is, it's a recovering market. I would say when a stock has dropped, I would call that a falling market. This is a bull market. So that's why I said, look, what strategies have I created that I've back tested already and been spending years over that we can just give to TradeMachine members that satisfy this idea of a portfolio. So define it and then show you how to do it. And that's why I added buy the dip, because it satisfies these. And the alerts I was sending out, where there were just too many of them were selling volatility. I had to change it. And since fade the dip wasn't working that well, buy the dip is the exact same technicals, which is interesting. So that's why I chose them.
All right. What's kurtosis?
So in order to learn what kurtosis is, it's not, by the way, the AI we have in there who coded up is not exactly kurtosis, but if you want to know what kurtosis is, why it works, why it might work, who cares, stuff like that, go to just type in kurtosis. I hope you saw what I did. I just typed in kurtosis in the learn tab. Okay, I'll do it again. Sorry. I went to learn. I typed in kurtosis. A remarkable finding. So you either watch a really short video or a really long video on how this works. Actually, there's 3 videos. So semi-short, in between, and really long. And you can learn about what tailedness means, what kurtosis means, what skew means, and why it might impact options. It's a pretty, especially this is 3 hours. You don't have to watch 3 hours. The presentation's only 45 minutes. You don't have to watch the Q&A. You watch this for 45 minutes and you'll have a very good understanding of why this thing might or might not impact trading and how we define it. Having said that, I don't actually give our AI algorithm because, we are a for-profit company. So.
We also have, if you're not into the videos, we do have a pretty detailed article on it as well under tail and skew that popped up when he searched kurtosis. So we we offer a variety of resources for everybody so that if videos aren't your thing, you can read about it.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, Mandy. There you go.
All right. For someone who has options trading experience but wants to get their feet wet taking a few alerts each month, what type of starting account balance would be sufficient?
It's really impossible for me to say, and I'll tell you why. I'm not just punting on it. Yes, I have to punt a little bit because we're not licensed and I can't give advice, but we can go beyond that. I've said that. I have the right of the freedom of speech, so I can answer it. In order to answer that question, I have to know, or one would have to know how much money they have, just their wealth, how much of their wealth is in risk assets, because not all of your wealth is in risk assets, right? And then what percentage of that you feel comfortable in options, right? So I'm just going to make up numbers. These are just completely made up numbers. Let's say you have $1 million in wealth. Maybe that's your home, your bank accounts, whatever. And of that, you have 300,000 in the market. I just make up numbers. And of that 300,000 in the market, I mean, maybe it's in ETFs or it's in CML Pro. Why you're not a CML Pro member, I wouldn't know. But by the way, we just got our update for CML Pro. Here's how CML Pro has done over the last 8 years versus NASDAQ, S&P 500, and ARK. You're welcome. And then you say, well, how much of that do I want in risk, right? So first you want some in ETFs, that's risk. And some of it you probably want in fixed income, right? Okay, so what portion of this do I want in individual stocks? Okay, and then that portion, how much do I want in options? Right. So an example would be maybe you have $300,000 in the market, 100,000 of that is in individual stocks. You're willing to risk 15% of your portfolio in options. Not all at once, please. But in that case, you'd have a $15,000 account. And you'd say, well, how much in each trade, how much am I willing to risk? Probably about 2%. So maybe you're looking to do option trades that are in this regard, maybe $300 option trades. That's an example. That's how you would, that's the calculus you should be doing. Right.
What is the target and stop for a call diagonal?
Well, it depends which call diagonal. So we have 2 call diagonals that we talked about today. I'll go to the backtest tab. One of them was this, well, this isn't even a call diagonal. This is just a call spread. The 2 call diagonals there's the pre-earnings one and the buy to sell off. So I'll do the pre-earnings one first. We'll look at that diagonal. We'll just look at one ticker. We don't have to look at a portfolio. Okay, so here's how Google is done with this pre-earnings diagonal. This is a custom strategy. So in order to see what it is, just click edit. So this is buying an at the money call, 14 days. That's 14 days to expiration. Selling a call, that's the closest to 7 days for expiration, and closing this whole thing when this guy expires. So this is a 7-day diagonal. And just to be really specific, you open it 14 days before earnings and close at a maximum of 1 day before earnings, but you would probably close earlier. The other one is called buy the sell off, which is a longer trade. Buy the sell off with AI, load it. We'll just load one ticker, it's fine. Okay. And this is also a custom strategy. This one, if we click at it, is a little longer. This is buying a 60-day, so 2-month at the money option, selling a 30-day out of the money option, right? Closing the whole thing when this guy expires. So this is a 30-day trade. This is another call diagonal. So that's for the two call diagonals that I talked about today. Those are 2. They're different for different types of markets. The buy the dip that I showed, I believe it was a 2-week trade. A 2-week, but it wasn't a diagonal, it was just a call spread. So if you're wondering like what the difference is, okay, this is why this is called diagonal. Ready? I'm gonna do this right here. Just so you guys can learn like option speak, so it doesn't seem so foreign. You're like, what are these words? Diagonals and butterflies and spreads. It's not, as with everything in life. When someone shows you, you're like, oh, that wasn't hard at all. So here, take this. Okay. Why is this called a diagonal? This is actually called a long diagonal call spread. 4 words. I have to show you why it's 4 words. Long diagonal call spread. Okay, it's considered long because you are buying options, okay, that are more expensive than the options you're selling. It's also considered long because this delta is larger than this delta. So we've got long. Okay, 1. This is why it's called long. Number 2. Why is it called a call spread? Because it's calls. Long call. Okay. Why is it considered a diagonal? It's considered diagonal because these are different. The expirations are different. This is a 60-day option. This is a 30-day option. So long, a call, diagonal. It's called a spread because there's 2 options. Long, call, diagonal, spread. That's it.
How would we receive the alerts if not signed up for TradeMachine?
Well, not only that, you can't receive the alerts if you don't sign up for TradeMachine, but even further, the AI that's layered on top of it is only in TradeMachine. So it's not even the alerts. You can't have this unless you have TradeMachine.
And how do they get TradeMachine again, Ophir?
This I see. She said, you guys, you see that? She was setting me up for the pitch, and I blew it. Okay. Yeah, that's my bad.
Well, we have a coupon right now, so
Yeah, no, she's right. It's my bad.
it's the time.
You go to this link. It's trademachine.com/get TradeMachine. I'm going to put it in chat again. You guys see that? TradeMachine members should appreciate that. Mandy set me up, and I just totally blew it. So I put it in chat again. You go to here. Well, you can do annual too, by the way. Either way, you go here, and then where it says to have a coupon, you type in webinar 9. I'll put this in here too. By the way, if you're going to get an email with this. Webinar 9, as Mandy pointed out, if you hit enter, you'll see this. That's how you do it. Thank you, Mandy.
You're very welcome.
I'm a little dense sometimes. Got it. Okay.
With VIX being low, why would you want to be selling vol?
Yeah. So generally, when VIX is low, it's the best time to sell vol. Also, when VIX is very high, is a good time to sell vol. The time when it's not good to sell vol is you have to look at the numbers. It's like kind of between a 17 to 23 VIX. That's a really bad time to sell vol. So VIX below 14 is a sale. VIX above 25 is a sale. VIX between 17 and 24 is like, probably want to buy vol.
When checking for winners 3 and over, you can first sort on wins and not have to look at all the losers.
You can, but I like to look at average trade return because that matters to me too. So here's the question someone asked. Let me choose a small portfolio like XLE. Oh, of course I don't. Well, this is not going to. Oh, actually, this did work pretty well in this industry. It's okay. It's good. So what someone was saying that the question is, let this load. What I was doing is searching by average trade return, right? It's like, I like this one, this one, this one, this one. They were saying, actually, you can just search by the number of wins, and then you'll find the ones that are large enough. So it's up to you. You know, sort by how you like. I like the average trade return is what matters to me. You could also do it by win rate, by the way. You can sort by win rate.
Yes, actually, you can sort by any of those.
Yeah, anything. Yeah.
Titles, even down to commission. So, whatever you want to do, we make it flexible. All right. TradeMachine trades are only entered if conditions are true in the last 15 minutes of the trading day. Can you explain specifically why the conditions have to be met in the last 15 minutes? Is the win percent substantially better for the trades taken in the last 15 minutes than trades taken during the day when the alerts are sent early?
So the question is, why does TradeMachine measure trades from 50 and why is it considered active if 15 minutes before the close, everything's satisfied? It's not because it's better or worse to do it that way. It's because backtesting is very explicit, right? It's rules based. The rules must be able to be replicated in real life. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. One really good way to make it rules based is to say we're picking this time, 15 minutes before the close, where options are the most liquid. This is where we're measuring it. So we had to choose a point of precision. That point of precision is when markets are the most liquid. That's our point. Can I tell you that in the middle of the day, it's any better or worse? No, I can't. Do I do trades in the middle of the day? I do. Yeah. But TradeMachine is rules-based. So if you want to follow exactly the letter of the law, you can do that. I don't exactly follow the letter. Just like that.
When selling volatility, shouldn't we be looking to sell it more when the put skew or implied vol is higher or at, say, 80 to 90 percentile?
No, I don't. I've seen no evidence of that. No. The best time to sell vol historically has been when things are in the lowest percentile. I know it doesn't really make sense because in finance they tell you buy low, sell high. It's not how it works with vol. So no, almost all the back testing I've seen and just my experience on the floor is when vol's really elevated, I don't want to sell it. When vol's low, I just want to sell the crap out of it.
All right. Can we get these alerts that you're already setting up?
Well, you have to do them, but Mandy's going to send an email with all of them, and it'll look like this. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get a bunch of links. So you'll take a link like this one. This was the selling the buy the dip one. You're going to get literally that link in your email. You're going to wait for your TradeMachine to do this. Like, I got this link. I'm going to open it. It's going to do this. Just click add alert. So you have to do that like 5 times and you'll have my alerts.
And if you don't like all of Ophir's alerts, you
Don't use
can
them.
then
Yeah.
go through and narrow it down further. So if,
Absolutely.
say, you want to take Ophir's results and then sort by win rate and only put the ones that have the highest number of wins for your threshold, this is part of the reason why we do it this way. So you can further customize them if need be.
Yeah, it's also very presumptuous of us to just give everyone my alerts. That's not in the spirit of TradeMachine at all. You'd be like, dude, get out of my account. If I
It's
want them,
like
if I want them, I'll add them. You know,
it's like the Apple back in the day with the U2 CD, and everybody got stuck with it forever.
that's true. That's right with the iPod.
Yep. Are you going to provide us with these links to the alerts?
Yes,
Yes, we are.
you will get an email. Now, if you ignore the email, that's on you. You're gonna get an email with all the links.
How do TradeMachine backtesting alerts sit alongside Pattern Finder? What is the difference in similarities?
So TradeMachine is what you see. It's a back testing platform with built-in AI and a really powerful engine. Pattern Finder is a charting and scanning tool. So here's Pattern Finder. Let's just put in a stock like Apple, which I'm about to get short. So Pattern Finder will draw on these out here. I'll do that one at a time. Okay, this is what a stock chart, you're like, okay, this is a stock chart. You're like, okay, well, show me the important highs and lows. So click that. You're like, okay. Show me if there's any kind of patterns. So like, can slim, like, oh, okay, there's a cup, there's a double bottom. Like, are there any points of like obvious support and resistance horizontally? Call them congestion lines. Like, okay. Apple fell through. Once Apple fell through this, to me, to most people trading, once it cracked to 180, it was pretty clear it was going to the the 168 level, which it did. Not pretty obvious. It was probabilities were also because that was the bottom of a cup and the top of a double bottom. So all of a sudden we're like, aha. And then if you want to see these trend lines, the trending support and resistance, that's where it is. So if Apple were to hit trend support, that'd probably be a pretty strong buy signal. If it were to go back above to hit trend resistance, that's probably possibly a sell signal. And then the real power here is this just the screening. I'm not going to go over Pattern Finder in totality, but if you're a TradeMachine member, we're basically giving Pattern Finder away for free. What is it, Mandy? $84 for the year or something?
$99 a year.
$99 a year for Pattern Finder, which is highway robbery, and I don't even like that we do that. But if you're a TradeMachine member, you can get Pattern Finder for $99 for the year. And it is incredibly powerful. You can start looking at how sectors are doing, subsectors. You can do screens which show charts which are kind of bullish setups. For example, let me do one of these since we're here. Okay, Trip Advisors or whatever Trip is. Yeah, here exactly. Here's a screen, and it's like, okay, look, it's through trend support. It's above its next congestion. If we turn on the P&L zones, The stop loss would be 2.7% lower, so back here, but your limit would be 14% higher. So this is a trade with 3% downside, 14% upside, for example. And that's just by turning on the P&L zones. So Pattern Finder is like an unbelievably awesome software. For some reason, it doesn't sell. So
Also, just to put in perspective, our monthly fee for Pattern Finder is $84 a month if you're not a TradeMachine member. So the fact that you're getting it for $99 a year as a TradeMachine member is insane.
yeah, you're getting a 90% discount. But if you cancel your trade machine, you're losing your Pattern Finder. You'll have to pay for Pattern Finder.
Yes. Can I get a link to the previous webinar from 4 months ago?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can actually do it in the Learn tab. So I'll show you. Again, go to Learn tab. Just type in 140 alerts or something like that. That may be helpful if you spell the word alerts. So here's the first 140 alerts. Click it. Boom.
But also, even if you spell it wrong,
That's right.
The Learn tab finds it.
Yes.
But we will include that link in the next email when we send out this recording. All right. Another user asking about Pattern Finder, commenting that this webinar was pretty focused on options, which is true. This was a TradeMachine webinar. But I think you answered that question pretty thoroughly.
Yeah. Pattern Finder is for stock. Yeah. Pattern Finder is for stock traders. I mean, it's for option traders too, but if you just trade stock, Pattern Finder.
But if you also trade stock, you can use TradeMachine for stock.
Oh, that's true. You can definitely do back tests. So in TradeMachine, if you want to back test stock, you just click your strategy as stock. We also have dollar cost averaging, which nobody uses, but is really awesome. You can decide how to dollar cost average, how many shares or dollars, how much time in between ads, what you need in order to add, your max position size. Like it's like TradeMachine is just completely badass, and you use it if you like. But if you want to learn how to dollar cost average, go to stock dollar cost average.
But yes, Pattern Finder is strictly for stocks, but TradeMachine can also be used for stocks, although it's very, very heavy on options because that's where it's needed the most.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Second ad was incorrect. He used asymmetry instead of kurtosis. Do you know which part they're referring to? I'm thinking the buy the dip, the new strategy.
I don't know. I'll try right now here.
Oh, yep. Looks like buy the dip AI settings was wrong. The next user also said.
Let's see. Buy the dip. Load. Let's turn it into a spread. Let's the 50-30. Okay. I still have this image up. Okay, let me go to technical open. This is the technical open. I want to add this. So 6 months asymmetry. I want it to be below 0. And so that's that part. And I want 1 year kurtosis below 0. So I'll add 1 year kurtosis below 0, right?
It looks like your asymmetry didn't go to below.
Thank you. And now we can do it in the NASDAQ 100 over the last 3 years. Yeah, I think this will be even better. I was wondering why I said 15% and not 18 or 19%. So thanks, guys.
We will make sure you get the correct link.
Yeah, the correct link is in saved. Yes, but
exactly. Yeah. He built this on the fly as we were going through the webinar too. So, but we have all the details.
Let's see. If not, I'll re-examine. It's hypnotic just to watch this. Okay, yeah, that's why the results are better. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yep.
Good eye.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. What is the time window for these options? Are these 4 weeks out?
These options are, these are 30-day long call spreads. So you can see 30 days. That's right up here.
All right. The AI criteria seem to be bearish or at least non-bullish for the new buy the dip. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what we're looking for with buy the dip, same thing with fade the dip, I think, is that a stock is now crossing up through the 200-day moving average. So it was in technical. I consider 200-day moving average technical failure. I shouldn't say it as though it's a known thing. That's my opinion. So when it's coming back up above the 200-day moving average, I consider it coming out of technical failure. So what you want to look at is there's momentum coming, but in the past, everything was looking bad. So it's very much it's like a contrarian signal. It's like, oh, here we go. We're coming out of technical failure. It was pretty weak in the past. There should be some strength in the stock now. Recover, kind of like it was oversold.
Bear with me 1 second. I'm just answering another question.
What?
I said, just bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry, I had one that I was typing a response to because they need email support. All right, next question is, I guess I'm wondering how the buy the dip would do with more bullish AI criteria.
Well, you know, let's try. So let's take out asymmetry. Let's take out let's put in really bullish kurtosis. I don't know how often this would happen, to tell you the truth, but let's see. This should be infrequent. No, I don't know. It would be a bizarre thing, but I mean, that's why we have TradeMachine. Looks pretty bad to me. Yeah, this looks terrible. It would be pretty hard for a company to have very strong, fat, bullish tails and be coming out of technical failure. Yeah, it's not. It's a no-go.
All right. Will the email contain the last 40, the 140 alerts from the last session as well? Yes.
Yes.
How can I tell which version of TradeMachine I have?
So you will know if you have platinum. Just do the NASDAQ 100, and if you get all 100 done, then you will see. If it says 50, then you don't have platinum because that's your
With
maximum. Yeah.
with a big error message at the bottom.
With an error message at the bottom. Also, I think it should say platinum right here if you have platinum, just by the
It
way.
does.
Yeah.
It does. But yeah, Jason made it a little bit easier and put a message at the bottom so that you'd know that
Okay.
clearly if it's not loading all 100 tickers. All right. We already answered this one. Looks like you were just, it's about the kurtosis skew on that one. Is
Thanks, guys.
kurtosis and asymmetry below 0 usually the best option when adding AI to backtests that don't have it?
No, no. So for example, it depends what market you're in, right? So the pre-earnings diagonal with AI, that's a bullish it's a bullish setup because the stock is already above the 50-day moving average. Let me pull this up. I'll pull up one stock. So let's look at the technical conditions here. The stock is already above the 50-day moving average. That's a bull market. Right? Stock's above the 50-day moving average in a bull market. That's where I want my kurtosis to be positive because I want to catch this thing extending its bullish streak. That's why you have to know what is each strategy trying to find, right? If you're looking for something that's oversold, then you just want everything to look bad. If you're in the midst of a bull market, like a stock is above the 50-day moving average, then no, you want strong kurtosis. Like you want to maintain that bullish trend and see if you can ride that for the next 2 weeks.
Is SPX Excel or SPX 0 DTE in your platform to backtest strategies?
We do not have 0 DT. You can do SPX, yes. But SPY is just faster, but you can do SPX, sure. Oh, I can't, but you can't do earnings for SPX. There's no such thing. So this, I don't even know what this back test is, but let's just do a naked call.
You still have earnings selected.
Sorry, nothing special. SPX, buying a call every 30 days, whatever. Here's SPX. So you could do SPX.
Right. Would it be good to further balance a portfolio by adding bearish trades, or should that be kept for an overall bearish market?
You can do that. Max shared stuff in community. He took we have something called a bearish burst. And he made some alterations to it, which you can definitely look at. He certainly added AI to make it work better. I'm generally bear market trades so rarely work for me that the best way I can make money on the bear market is stocks that are oversold, which is right. So just like to be very specific, like how do I make money on a bear market? Kind of like this. Stock is here to spread the sell off. Stock is here. If it keeps going down, I make the most money. And yes, if it totally collapses, I'll get stopped out. Fine. But this should only happen about 20% of the time. It should have anywhere from a 70 to 80% win rate. In other words, the stock should be here or higher based on deltas about 20 to 80%, 80 to 70 to 80% of the time. That's how I make use of a bear market. It does well to a certain point.
All right. Option portfolio balance vis-a-vis too much vol, downside vol, actually. What do you think of a constructed strategy that uses call credit spreads to take advantage of upside vol bursts to counterbalance the downside sell the spread strategies?
I'm okay with selling upside vol. You don't get as much for your dollar, right? Skew is naturally almost always, not always, but naturally getting more juice on out of the money puts than out of the money calls. But yeah, I mean, collecting credits on stock. Yeah, I mean, I would be generally not to just don't follow my strategy, please, but like I'd be a call spread seller in Apple, like longer term call spreads. I'm thoroughly unimpressed with Apple and its lack of AI vision. And you can see over the last 2 years, Apple's down, Microsoft's up 40%, like just as an example. Now you'd have to backtest that. That's just one stock. You want to look in a sector, but just like, yeah, selling upside is fine. If you understand the risks, of course. It's not for me to say.
When you showed the scorecard, did the trades all happen automatically, or did you intervene to choose the ones you wanted to trade?
No, it's the ones that were set. There was no human intervention. It's just the alerts I set.
When are the liquidity filters coming?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a liquidity filter, probably a number like 1 through 5 or something, where 5 is the most liquid, 1 is the least liquid. I don't want to put a date on it, but I mean, Jason's doing it. I mean, soonish in a quarter. I don't know. And then it'll probably be in the technical open. So it'll probably be here. You're doing a back test, you go to technical open, and it'll probably be like liquidity filter. It's not here, but and then you just say liquidity filter, above 4 or whatever. And then I think not only that, I think Mandy was talking about this idea of we just have another filter here, which looks for the today tab, which is just a liquidity filter. It'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And you can click 5 and 4, for example, or 5, 4, and 3. And then your today tab will be filtered by baskets and by liquidity. And so you can just come to TradeMachine on the today tab, only see things in the baskets you want, only see things with the liquidity you want, and then start trading off of that if you like. And then you don't have to set alerts. Today tab is always there for people who don't want to set alerts, right?
Or you can set today tab alerts.
That's true too. You can also set very specific today tab alerts, like I do.
Right. After the November or March trades trigger, do you have to reset, or do they stay active until you delete them?
Yeah, alerts stay active forever, except for one kind of alert. If you have an alert that's a stock price alert, let's say a stock's at 100 and you say, I want to know when the stock hits 105. Once you get that alert, it goes away. Okay. Stock hit 105, it's gone. Because otherwise you're going to keep getting that alert. But no, option strategies stay forever. In fact, one of the things that require effort in TradeMachine is say, okay, what's been working over the last year? What hasn't? Let me clear those alerts out. You go into your alerts tab. Um, and you just start clearing them out, XXXX, the ones you don't like. So they don't go away.
And calendar alerts don't stay. Those are
Calendar, right,
specific.
right. You can actually set. I use trade. There's something funny. I sometimes use TradeMachine as an alert that for nothing to do with just trading. Like I'll set an alert for like one of my friends' birthdays in TradeMachine through a calendar alert. So
Jason does the same thing.
does he really? Okay,
Yeah.
I like TradeMachine is becoming like my everything now. It's like, okay, I need to know when I'm supposed to pay the utility bills. I'm like, all right, every 28th, I get an alert.
But it's great because you also get a text message. So
Yeah. I
I
get
mean,
text. Yeah.
use it. You're
You're
already in
paying
Trade
for it.
Machine.
Yeah.
Use it.
No.
um, all right, next question. If we have Pattern Finder, can we get these trades with the same technicals minus the backtest, of course?
Well, Pattern Finder isn't a back tester, so it doesn't. You can set up the technicals. So, for example, you can say, "All right, let me see which moving averages." Let's say, let me see the 200-day moving average. Let's say this is still Apple, right? Boom, there it is. Is this Apple? No, it's Trip. It's all right. This is the bullish one, right? Like, oh, let me see the 50. But remember, it's not a back tester. This is a really good example, by the way. I can zoom in a little bit of how if you're using Pattern Finder, you would have seen this kind of bullish breakout, right? Above the 200, above the 50, through congestion, gaps up, right? Just for example. But there's no, and you can get alerts. I mean, Pattern Finder has alerts. It right here, right? You just set your alerts, but it's not a back tester. You can't see how it's done when it did that. That's TradeMachine.
Are there plans to identify good liquidity option underlying?
No, I don't think so. Right now, we're going to stick. I mean, for a stock to have poor liquidity, that would be pretty bad. It does exist, but no, we're focusing on options.
What is the best and fastest way to delete alerts? There are a couple hundred I would like to delete, but for some reason, clicking on the red X doesn't delete them, even though pop-up says the alert has been deleted. They
Okay.
keep coming back after the refresh session. I believe Jason is working on that.
Okay, then it's a known bug. Yeah, that sucks. Sorry,
Yes,
we're working on it. Yeah.
Jason is on it.
Yeah, I deleted a bunch of alerts and it did work for me. What did I want? I forgot what I deleted.
If you haven't emailed support, email support with your username. If that's happening for you, we can look at your specific account.
Yeah, go to account. That's not what we wanted. Isn't there a way for me to? Yeah. And then can't you email support from here somehow? No?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Somehow, some way. Oh, there you go. Right.
You were hovering it. I thought you saw it. We will get a recording. Sorry, I was away. Yes, you will get a recording as well as all of the alerts that Ophir discussed here. Can you give suggestions for building a trading plane when I get in it and when to get out? Oh, trading plan. Sorry, typo.
Oh, I mean, for me, it's TradeMachine. If it's a back testing, then the rules are set, right? And that's part of. Remember, someone asked about that 15-minute rule. It's just like it's very clear. This is when it's supposed to happen. Other than that, if you're talking just broadly as a trader, I just do it in Excel, and I'll just give you a very simple example. Let's say you just something silly. You just bought a long call, 60-day call on Apple. I don't know. I'm using Apple today. I'm just whatever. Um, and let's say it's at the money, and the option is at $10. And you say, well, I don't want to lose more than 50%, so you're going to put your stop loss at 50%. Write it down. Right. If the option goes to 50 to $5, I'm out. Maybe you have a limit, so which you can also set your brokerage. So let's say, if the option goes to 20, I'm out. Okay, so write that down. But then you have other things, right? Because options decay in this case. So it's like, what happens if the stock drops by $7? The option goes from 10 to 6, not quite to 5. You're not at your stop loss, but like maybe on a stock chart, you're like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that anymore. So then you write that down. It can just be about the stock. If the stock, so here we use this. Let's say we got into a trade with Trip. Let me take off the crosshairs. How do I turn off the crosshairs? Tooltip off.
tooltip.
Yeah. So let's say you're like, I want to do this trade, and I'm willing to go a little longer than 2.7% downside. Like I'd be willing to go down to this green line. So, but if it goes down to 2.7%, I want to sell half. So that would be part of your trade, right? You'd be like, you part of your plan, you'd say, okay, if the stock hits 27.86, sell half. Right. Also, if it's a stock trade, for example, or a long-term option trade, you might say, hey, after 30 days, for better or worse, I'm just kind of out. Like I don't that's it. It might also be that if you have a 60-day option, you're like, okay, after 30 days, if the trade is still going, hasn't hit my stop, hasn't hit my limit, I want to sell a 15-day option. I want to turn it into a spread. If it's gone that long, I want to spread. Oh, well, what do you want to spread? Upside or downside? Right. What strikes? Write it down. Write it down. This is my plan. So every day that goes by, you look at your plan. The today you is smarter than the tomorrow you. Today you is calm, cool, collected. Tomorrow you is in a frenzy. So today you is smarter than tomorrow you. That's what the plan looks like. Oh, I would sell that call. I would sell that put. I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to put a trailing stop. That's what the plan looks like. Every single thing that could happen, you want to know. Some of them are not that long, 5, 6 steps. Some of my trades, like I did a whole option speculation webinar, which you guys are free to watch. It's actually under education. It's the last piece of education. So if you go here, it's this webinar. I gave some, these are actual real multi-year or multi-month speculations. My Jumia one, for example, it had like, I think 150 rows of rules, what was going to happen. So depends how complex the trade is, but that's how you do it. Just write it down in Excel or whatever. But I use Excel. It's just like, if this, then this. This is a cool webinar, I think, just to kind of see how things can work.
Can you please review how you changed the parameters of the call spread search via technical open? Where did you find the parameters other search?
Yeah, so I think maybe you're talking about the deltas. Oops. So the way you change, let's say we want to do buy the dip. Okay. Want to turn it into a call spread. So I go to call spread, they say, well, what deltas do you want? If you take the comma out, by the way, you can see it across a whole bunch of choices. So this is all going to be meta, right? All different strikes. But if you just want to focus on one or multiple stocks, put the comma back in, go to this options thing. This options meaning not stock options, as in choices. You go down the middle one, the one in blue, is the deltas you'll be testing if you have a comma there. So that's what I did. And save it. Now I'm looking at a 50-30 delta, for example. And if you want to change the technicals, you go to technical open right here, click it, and that's how you can choose any of the things you want or remove any of the things you want.
All right. I came late to the webinar. Does past performance relate? How does past performance relate to forward performance? Do changes in the market dramatically change performance, such as change from a bull to a bear market? Does interest rate changes dramatically change the forward performance, such as high interest rates or low interest rates?
So they do change. We've had, you should watch our webinar with the first 140 trades. I talk about what changed in the market and how we could see that it changed and why we had to pivot. A lot of it was because of this, was actually less about market conditions and more about this. Let me see if sorry, I have like 900. Zoom is just like all consuming. So hold on one second. I think I have a slide from the last webinar, so I can pull it up. Let's see if that would answer your question more quickly. Uh-huh. But of course not. Okay, yeah, watch that webinar and you'll see that so our pre-earnings momentum trades started getting picked up by sell side, in particular the trading and sales desks. Like you can look on LinkedIn. Oh, wow, I guess you can't. You can look on I looked on our LinkedIn and I shared it with you. You could see Goldman Sachs trading and sales group is now using our pre-earnings momentum thing, and so was BMO and Barclays, and so the signal started going away. So we had to turn it into diagonal, right? And so we had to add AI. So yeah, markets change. That's part of the reason why we're always evolving at TradeMachine. The AI that we have, I was going to make it available as a data feed to institutions, and for now I've decided not to. So it's just not going to be replicated. I kind of dare someone to figure it out. So that's why the strategies I'm showing now all have our AI, because that signal shouldn't disappear. At least it shouldn't disappear for quite some time. That's the motivation, not just to hear myself talk, believe it or not.
How to calculate 80% gain when closing the spread the sell-off trade.
So it's 80% of your credit. So let's say you sold the spread at $1, right? If it comes down to 20 cents, that's 80%. If you can buy it back for 20 cents, buy it back for 20 cents. To follow those rules, that's what 80% would mean.
Could you post the link to the webinar where you explain the AI features, such as skewing kurtosis? I'd love to watch that once again.
Yeah, just so yeah, go to learn again. You guys, kurtosis, and then there it is. Here's the whole webinar. Again, this is 3 hours. Don't let this scare you. The last 2 hours are Q&A. You don't have to watch that. It explains it really thoroughly. I think I explained it really thoroughly in like 45 minutes. But it's learn tab. Just type in kurtosis.
I think the middle one actually trims off the Q&A, so you don't have to do it yourself.
Okay, let's see. We're going to be talking about tail
Oh,
risk.
nope, I am wrong.
Well, kind of. That's 14 minutes. Yeah, I mean, you can watch the 14-minute one, and if you feel satisfied, that's fine. If not, go to the long one. But don't, again, I don't want the 3 hour thing to scare you. It's like 45 minutes of me, and then the rest is Q&A. You don't have to watch the Q&A. That's I'm not going to recommend you watch a 3 hour webinar. That's painstaking.
Can the software be used for a long position? I think we answered this.
For what positions?
For a long position?
For long? Yeah, of course. Hold on, guys. I have to order my lunch. Keep going. Yes.
When we build the portfolio with our stock, how long is it good for? Daily, weekly?
If you build your portfolio with, ask me that again. I didn't understand the question.
When we build the portfolio with our stock, how long is it good for? Daily or weekly? I think that what they're asking is, and I would check it after a year, is generally what Ophir recommends to see if it's still
Your
performing well.
alerts. Yeah,
I believe so.
yeah, so check out yet another Dave, I think, in community. I'm never going to use your guys' real names. I have to use like I know who you are, but I can't I can't do it. I think he's our right at the fuck down guy.
He is.
Yeah. Just look at what he does. It's just really impeccable. And like this is 3 cheers to him. And just if you do what he does.
There he is. You passed him.
Oh no, I was looking if I could actually find his WITFD in there. Actually, I wonder if this will work. Let's see if our search works. Huh. No. Our search kind of is lame. Don't tell Alex I said that. There it is. There it is. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Here's his right at the fuck down. So he does these reports and he just shows you, first of all, it's very transparent of him, which is awesome. But he also shows you, like, he'll share the spreadsheet. You can see how he does it. And that's a really good way. It's pretty easy if you follow his approach, which is really, really good. I'm very impressed. And I borrow part of it. You can just see like what's working. Like over the last 3 months, what is working, what isn't working. It's always an analysis, like what's working, what isn't working. If it isn't working, is it something that's systemically wrong, or is it just like, hey, these 3 months were good for that strategy? These are decisions you have to make. Let's see if I can find one of his. It's so worth it. Right the fuck down. All right, let me see. Okay, there it is.
There
Right.
it is.
So this is actually his thing. And like it should kind of look like this. Like this was in January, 20 wins, 3 losses. You know, And he writes like what's working, what's not. If you do this long enough, you're going to start going through your losses, going through your wins, see like what trade am I like just naturally better at or worse at. Write it down. I mean, this is an example. This is a trader who writes it the fuck down.
Yeah. And he even gives credit where credit is due from the community. So
Oh
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
also do that.
But look at his notes. I mean, these
Well,
are notes like like he's writing it down. Like this is what it's not that hard, but it is effort. It is. And do you want to have 20 wins and 3 losses or not? I'm not saying that. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the today you is much smarter than the tomorrow you. So lean on today to plan for tomorrow you. Oh gee, well, apparently I said that.
Maybe we can ask yet another Dave which webinar that was on so we can put that on the Today tab or
We
something.
should we should give him a green check mark just because he writes it the fuck down. He's been promoted to green check mark. Don't forget to. We have to tell Alex.
I think I can do it.
If you
We'll,
write it
we'll,
the fuck down, you will get a green check mark.
maybe that's the new badge that we're going to give.
It's a new badge. It's a write it the fuck down badge. It
Yep.
can't be green because that takes away
Max is the
from
only one with a
Max.
green
Yeah,
badge.
so
Let's
it'll be a purple check.
post.
It'll be a
We'll,
purple check.
we'll get Alex to get you a write it the fuck down
Yes,
purple check.
badge. Yes. If you write the fuck down and you share it, even if it's bad news, not every month. Remember, I only think like realistically, since we're receiving the market, we're not making markets. It's not like my old days. 9 out of 12 months, 10 out of 12 months should be up. But another way to say that is like 2 or 3 out of months a year are just not going to be that good. Just you have to be realistic with trading. It's just that your down month, your worst down month should be no worse than let's say your third best month. If it is, then you're not managing risk properly. But yeah, we'll get a WTIFD badge, which will allow people to look for people who are writing it down. The green badge will leave for Max. Max gets the green badge.
All right. If we sign up with the coupon code for the premium and the full experience and don't like premium before the 9th day, can the membership be canceled?
Oh, you can definitely cancel within those 9 days. You will have to cancel though. And the coupon code is webinar9, and I'll just show you again. And then I want to show you how to cancel too, just so you don't feel trapped. It's not about that. So you go TradeMachine 5, you go to your thing, blah 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 blah. Sign up, coupon, webinar 9. Now let me show you how to cancel. So you do webinar 9, hit enter, make sure that's there, then you go through the process. Okay, let's say you're like, okay, good, okay, I don't want to be charged $99. It's day 8 and I'm out. So you would go to your account. It will look something like this.
No, you're in
No.
the member press. Sorry.
Oh, do I have to log out? Or
No, you have to go to your TradeMachine home.
why does everyone know everything about this company other than me? Okay, go to account.
This is my job, Ophir.
That's true. Do I go to account? Is that what I do?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll have an account thing. Go to your account thing. And then go to subscriptions. And then cancel. Yes, cancel right here. Cancel. And then that's it. You can also email support. And also, if you stay for the 10th day and you get billed and you're like, oh man, I didn't mean to do that. We're not that kind of company. It's okay. You get your money back. Just relax. Like, don't, we're not,
Just email support.
yeah, we're not in the business of like, we got you. Like, we're in the business of having successful traders. That's what we're in the business of. We're not in the business of getting you for that one extra day. So,
hey, this is Jason Hitchings. I just was listening in, and he asked about the premium. I wondered if he was kind of asking that question about platinum.
oh yes, so exact same thing for platinum. You can get $9 for 9 days with the same coupon code, and then it will go. I'll show you. It'll go to $9.95 as opposed to $99 a month. So I'll show that. Mandy made it so that annual works too. So here you go. So you could experience. It's probably a good idea actually. You can experience platinum. So let's do that. Coupon code. Okay, there you go. 9 days for $9, then $9.95 a year. But it's the same cancellation process. You go into your, thanks, Jay. You go into your account, go here, go to subscriptions. Yeah, and then click cancel. And if you don't want to do that, you just want to email support, just email support.
Yeah.
I just think
you
have control. You have control over
your
subscription. You're not locked in. We're not like we won't answer that email until the 10th day. Don't worry, we're not that company.
We'll take care of you. And same process, same coupon code works for both monthly and annual. So if you want to go for annual because you get the extra features, by all means try annual for the 9 days for $9. We think you're going to love it. That's why we're doing this. We wouldn't do this if we didn't think you were going to love it.
I don't think anyone who takes it for 9 days for $9 who actually tries it for 9 days is going to cancel. That's my bet. Doesn't mean you can't cancel. You can go against my bet. I don't think anyone who uses TradeMachine for 9 days, who really puts in the effort, for those 9 days, 5 of those 9 days, you're doing stuff, you're not going to cancel.
All right. Are there any strategies that are designed to work for a falling market to buy puts or put spreads? And if not, are there any plans for such a strategy to be included?
There are, yeah. So go to the Pro Scan tab, choose the group of stocks you're looking at. Let's say the NASDAQ 100. Come down here, strategies which are avoiding earnings. Okay. And then you would look for, it's called the bearish something or rather. Not mammoth. I don't love that strategy. Not the squeeze. Bearish technical bursts. This is the one that Max actually changed in community. It's not changed in TradeMachine. He had some things he showed some back tests with adding the AI, but it's in here. So you can look at them. You can just click on a ticker like Amazon, doesn't matter. And here is your bearish setup. You can then do it for a whole portfolio. I would go into community and I would do this. I would say, hey, at Max, can you tell me what you did with the bearish burst? Yeah, that's what I would do. I wouldn't message Max as much as possible to drive him crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Max. He's just
very so many notifications.
He's just very, very good. So I like to bust his balls. But don't bother him just for the hell of bothering him. That's not fair. You guys do that to me. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I have like 328 alerts notification. I have like 328 notifications. I'm like, oh man, that's 3 hours of notifications. Don't do that to Max. That's not fair. But if
every time you tag someone, you do get a notification just in case you haven't received them yet. So they will be notified, and if they wake up with 300, it may take them a minute to respond.
Yeah. I don't think that's fair to do to Max, but at the same time, I would laugh a lot. So it's up to you.
So tomorrow, Ophir and I are going to tag Max all day. All right. Next question. Zero DTEs. Is that something that is in TradeMachine? And if not, is that something you're working on?
It's not in TradeMachine. I'm not sure if we're going to do it. We're talking about it. It's a little bit of a reconstruction of the way we look at data. So like instead of looking at a day, that would be a bar. Let's say a day would be a minute. So it would feel very similar, but it's a totally different data set. I'm not convinced at all that zero DTE, you can make money in zero DTE. I know you can make money on a day with zero DTE, but I don't like a portfolio of trades consistently profitable 9 or 10, 12 months a year. I don't know about that. That feels like luck. And I think it was introduced by the exchanges in order to make money on transactions, and it's working. The option volume has quintupled or more because of zero DTE, and it's just retail getting their faces ripped off. But if I can convince myself with Jason that zero DTE can be profitable, I'm happy to share it with you. I will not put it in just because we can sell more TradeMachine. I'm just not the guy. I can't do it. I can't pitch shit. I can't. And that's why I'm not going to be a billionaire. Because I know if I put zero DTE in and I put it in here and I cherry picked back tests that worked, we'd sell 150,000 more TradeMachines. Am I helping you? Remember what I said? I want my epitaph to read. I don't think my epitaph would read right. Having said that, if we do add zero DTE, it's because I have decided there is edge, in which case we would add it.
In the fade the dip strategy, I noticed a few of the same tickers firing off multiple times in a week or two. Example, Tesla probably fired 7 or 8 times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What do you suggest I'd say you took first or second signal? Open new position on top of the old, close old, or just sit tight?
Sit tight. So what TradeMachine does, so the reason that's happening is there's a part of fade the dip. I'm going to load it just so you guys see the strategy, and then I'm going to answer your question. Just because I don't want to, if I just say too many words, it becomes too ethereal. So let me just load one ticker just so you see what are the technical conditions. Why is it triggering so often? So okay, this is Microsoft. So you can see the technical conditions here. I actually just like doing it in the technical. It's just easier. So, okay, I'm going to take out the AI just so I don't confuse you. So it's when the stock crosses the day the stock crosses up through the 200-day moving average, right? It goes up, which means the day before it was below, right? You can only cross up through the 200-day moving average if the day before you were below. Well, a stock can go up and below the 200-day moving average over and over again, days in a row, up and down. So it's going to trigger. What TradeMachine does in a back test is it waits for it to happen. If it does, this is a 30-day trade. It does no other trading. That's it. This trade is open. Does not care if it happens again. There's no doubling down. There's no closing. This trade is open. If this trade closes because it hits a closing rule, like it expires or this limit is hit, then it will be able to receive another one. So pay the dip happened again. It does not trade again. It doesn't do that. So what would I do? What I would do and what I do is I follow TradeMachine. If it triggers and it holds for the day, right? This would be green, right? Then I do it. I'm in, and I don't look at that ticker again for that strategy until this trade ends.
But you will get multiple alerts.
You will
because the conditions are being met again.
Yep.
So
yep.
Yesterday's you may have had an open position that had closed. It's going to still let you know that that's a possibility.
It's still a correct alert. These technicals are being met. That's true. But if my trade is open, and for TradeMachine, if the trade is open, it just receives that alert, says, okay, I don't care. I have a position. That's what happens. I would not open it multiple times. If you're asking what I would do, that's not advice. You ask what I would do. I would not open it multiple times. I don't really fall in love with a certain stock and a certain trade. What I fall in love with is my portfolio. Right? It's like, oh, I got these 20 trades on. I'm selling vol. I'm buying vol. It's in tech. It's in financials. Like, I love that. That's my thing, right? Each trade in and of itself, don't care.
Is there a study of stops and limits on certain equities?
You can study. We haven't done it, but you can definitely try stops and limits. If you mean on stocks in particular, like Pattern Finder, I think our P&L zones, which you can turn off and on here, are super valuable. Of course, I think they're valuable. I thought of it. So take that with a grain of salt. That's like saying, if I made a steak and I really like it and someone says, do you think it's a good steak? It's like, well, yeah, I made the steak. So I think that's a really good way to use stops and limits if you're talking about equities. You can do it in TradeMachine mechanically as well, but I don't have like a real study. When you see stops and limits in built-in strategies in TradeMachine, those aren't guesses. That's for backtesting.
Everything that's built into TradeMachine is not a guess.
It's on purpose.
From a lot of backtesting. Like most of the time, years and years of backtesting.
And statistical significance,
it's not on accident. In the last alert, you did not define the second condition as shown in the screenshot. I think we already answered that. I think it was in regards to kurtosis and skew.
Okay, yeah, just look, yeah. So skew and kurtosis, the concepts and just what are called return distribution characteristics, mouthful, are explained in that video. I would watch it. It's a really interesting video just to learn. Just be like, oh, like it is the ethos of the learn tab. You're learning. It's measure theory. That's what I'm trained in. It's measure theory is awesome. But again, take that with a grain of salt. I dedicated my life to measure theory, so you would hope I like it.
What if any strategies are set up to trade bear markets, like long put strategies? If there aren't any yet, are there plans for that type of trade?
That was answered. Yeah, we showed it. The pro
I
scanner.
was going to say, I thought that was.
That's okay.
Do you have a risk percent per trade guideline?
I do. I consider anything that's like 30 days or less, like a swing trade. So I just loosely speaking, swing trade. And I would be max risk at 3% of my portfolio. Max risk on a swing trade. I'm not doing that very often. On longer trades, like in that option speculation webinar, I mean, that was growing into very, very large trades, right? But that happened because it was hitting certain points in the strategy where it was successful, right? Right. So, okay, it's a success. This trade started at $1. It's now worth $6. Okay, now it's $6. Now it's worth $12. It starts to become larger and larger. But in that trade, there's new risk limits. But if you're talking about like kind of trade machine trades, I think 3% is a really big number. Like I would do that. I'm more like in the 1%, 2%.
Right. Can you explain the data AI works on? Is it exclusively yours or from the broader open market? And is it in real time?
It is every other day, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It is based on market data. The algorithm itself is proprietary and nowhere else in the world. It uses concepts of skew and kurtosis. So I had three choices when I introduced it. One was just to say AI, and people would be like, okay, what's that? Like, can you explain that? I was like, okay, I can't do that. The other choice I had was like to explain it literally down to the line. Like, this is the algorithm. And I was like, no, I'm not giving it away. So then I chose the in between. It's based on skew and kurtosis. It is quite proprietary and a measure theorist, a mathematician who studies measure theory like me would look at it and be like, oh, that's a new take. Okay. Like that is skew and kurtosis, but that's different. So I got you kind of in the middle. So you know the basis through which it's formed and why such a thing would matter. I introduced it as a supposition. Suppose you were to look at skew. Suppose you were to look at kurtosis. Why would it matter? Not why does it matter? Why would it matter? That's what that webinar is based on. It's a supposition. It's the null hypothesis, right? And then hopefully I define why it would matter. And then I just kind of take the leap and say, okay, this is why it would matter. I did some things back here behind my head that you can't see, and here's the algorithm. Not here's the algorithm, here's the result. So.
All right. Ophir, how many CML option trades will you have on in any particular month approximately? Hopefully that's not too personal of a question.
Definitely not too personal, definitely appropriate. Recently, very, very few because I'm going through some personal shite. Normally, like when things were not like everything was on fire in my life, it just really was very uncommon. Okay. I think it was uncommon for me to have a day without a trade. I was kind of trading every day. Obviously, there were days where it was like, I don't force it. Like, I'm like, I don't see anything, but like, I was kind of trading every day. Like, and I don't just mean closing. Like I was like kind of opening a new trade every day or every other day. And then I was also closing. And so it turns out to be quite a few open positions. I'm definitely not the guy. It's not like when I was making markets where I would easily have, it's probably, I don't know, 80 stocks. Let's say on average 15 strikes. A position that's like 1,200 open positions. It's just not like that for me. It might be 20 or 15, but now it's real. I'm just not trading as much as I want. I was actually bemoaning how little I was trading to Max a few months ago. Max is my therapist a little bit. So I was just like, I was really frustrated. So.
All right. I am looking for a way to find more effective ways to plan the trades. Was the 40-40 tested for most efficient?
For certain strategies, yeah, I would be very comfortable testing different stops and limits in our strategies, they're set down here. But these should, in general, kind of be the best. So for me, the plan/process is what I showed in this webinar or the prior webinar. It's like pick a strategy, run it, make sure it works for a sector. If it does, deep dive into that sector, start picking the best. That's definitely a plan, because what happens is you get very specific open rules, very specific close rules, and very specific expectations. This will happen when this happens. This will open when this happens. That's pretty good to process. Now, to finalize that process is the WITFD, right? Write the F down. And that's just like, I did it. Here's when I opened it. Here's when I closed it. Here's what happened. Kind of like yet another Dave said, right? Just, boo, boo, boo. So you can really review it. And like, you're always grading yourself, right? Like, okay, what am I good at? And you're going to find, it's really bizarre. It was for me. You're naturally going to have a predilection to certain kind of trades, and you'll have like an anti-predilection to others. And when I first got into trading, I thought I was only going to be buying. And it turns out I just don't like buying options. I mean, I spread, but I like collecting. I don't know. Like, that's just, and I wouldn't have thought that. But if you make markets long enough, that almost everyone goes there, because you're just like, man, I just make a lot of money collecting Vega or collecting Theta. So, but you'll figure out there's just trades you're better at, worse at. But challenge yourself. Make sure that you're not only doing trades you're comfortable with, because you do have to be hedged, right? I can't only be short vol, because then I'll get my face ripped off. I just know that when there's a short vol alert I get, I'm probably more excited about it. Like, oh, I'm gonna sell something today.
What prices are being used on the option legs to determine P&L and ROR? The opening print the day after the alert triggers? Question mark.
No, it's the price as of 15 minutes before the close. So that moment when TradeMachine says this is live, it's when there's the most liquidity. And then you can decide if you're using right. That's one thing, but that's like, are you using the bid and the offer? Are you using mid-market? So the way default for TradeMachine is mid-market, but you can choose other ways to. So halfway between mid and market, it's not like 100% clear. I'll just say it. Let's say a market is zero bid at $1. We all know mid-market would be 50 cents, halfway in between a zero and $1. Halfway between mid and market would be, okay, well, mid-market is 50 cents. The offer is $1. Halfway between there is 75 cents. So it's a more conservative way of looking at how your fills are. I would pay 75 cents, or I would sell at 25 cents. You choose what you want. You can also do it on the bid and the offer. I just pray in your trading, you're not actually paying the offer and selling on the bid. We used to default to halfway between mid and this one. And it was really, I thought, okay, we'll just be conservative. It was really interesting. We got like overwhelming feedback from TradeMachine members where they were like, no, we were getting better fills than that. Can you please default to mid-market? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So, but the time of day is right at the close, right near the close. Well, I was supposed to order lunch and nobody reminded me.
You started to.
Nobody reminded me. That's
we continued going because you said.
Did Max say anything? Because if Max didn't say anything, it's his fault.
It's Max's fault because I didn't see him say anything. Okay, order your lunch so I can keep asking you questions.
No, that's it. Okay. I'm getting a beef bowl, gluten-free, if anyone's interested. It's from a Korean restaurant. I'm gonna get extra beef too. What else am I getting? I think that's all I'm gonna get. Should I add kimchi? Kimchi, yes or no?
Yes.
Add kimchi. All right, guys. What should my tip be?
Are you feeling generous today?
I feel generous every day.
Well, then your tip should be generous.
That's good.
No stops with the diagonal?
No, I'm really okay with that. So the question is, if you're putting on a diagonal, let's say call spread. So just to remind you, do I still have that image? No, I don't. Okay. Let me pull one up just so it doesn't seem esoteric to people who don't know. It's a very, very good question. And I'll tell you, I'm going to explain to you why. Let me pull it up for people. I know the person who asked knows what a diagonal is. Not everyone does. So Let me just show what I'm talking about. So buy the sell-off is a diagonal. Let me just load one. So the question is, so you'll see in this strategy, there's no stops or limits. 0 just means no stops or limits. So here's the trade. Here's a trade. It's buying a call that's 60 days to expiration and selling one that's 30 days, and you're buying the higher delta, so it's a bullish long call diagonal spread. I don't put stops and limits because in a certain sense, this is my risk, my risk lever, right? I'm going to have a limit. If the stock explodes 300%, I'm going to be out at whatever strike that bottom one is. And if the stock goes down, I've sold some juice against my long. That's kind of my hedge. So I just want this to play out. When I roll into much larger calendars, which you'll see in the option speculation one, they can span 9 months, a year, even 2 years. Then I will have stops. But in TradeMachine, I'm considering anything 30 days or less, and this is a 30-day trade because it closes when this option trades. It closes when this option expires. I don't put stops and limits. It's personal, but that's what I do. I do have stops and limits on non-diagonals, oddly. So just personal.
And you can backtest if you like stops and limits, backtest with it, see what it does.
For sure. But no, personally, I don't. This is kind of my hedge. I'm a big diagonal guy. Like I have my, well, when I am trading, which I'm barely doing right now, I have crazy expiration. Like if you looked at my sheets, you'd be like, dude, you have like 11 expirations. So.
All right. Do you have an explainer on how to execute and exit the trade types in TradeMachine?
I do. Don't we have a live help, Mandy, that does that?
We actually have a few live helps that get into it, and we've even had both Max and Jason show in their brokerage kind of live step-by-step on how to execute a trade from TradeMachine.
Do you remember?
I believe it would have been January for Jason's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, and Max did it too.
I think it's
Ask Mandy. You guys email support. She'll find it. So
yeah,
yes,
we'll
we have
it.
a live help one where Jay does it and also Max does it, where he just like.
You can also search.
Oh, you can?
I believe so.
What should I look for?
Executing.
Look, you're holding your breath.
No, okay, that's my bad. I will make it to where you can search for it. And
I could hear the timidity. She's like, I think you can do execution. Okay.
I'm trying here. I am working on getting the Learn tab to where it is super searchable and really intuitive as to where you would go for everything. So bear with me while I'm working on that, but it is in there somewhere. I promise.
Yeah, Jay, you walked through Live All Edge, right? Is that right?
I believe we lost Jay right now.
Okay.
But I believe you are correct. He did. And I will locate that for you. I can share it in community.
Okay.
But if you email support as well, I will get you directly to it.
Yeah, that's a good question. Also, remember, we do live help once a week. So if you want to see Jay do it again, just
yeah, make him do it again.
Yeah.
He's gone. So we can volunteer him for everything.
Yeah, he is volunteered.
So next question. What about if you are already a TradeMachine subscriber? Do you still need to subscribe to this? I'm not sure what they're referring to. I'm wondering if maybe it's Pattern Finder.
Oh, if you're a TradeMachine member, you have to pay for Pattern Finder. You just get it for dirt cheap. If you mean platinum, then yes, you can switch out of your monthly and go to annual. It's actually cheaper by month if you want platinum, right? Just tell Mandy, tell support, hey, I want to cancel this and go annual. Someone asked me once, if I go annual, do I have to keep my monthly and pay for the annual? No, it's thank you for asking, but no, of course not. You don't pay $99 a month anymore. You pay $9.95 a year, which is like $83 a month. So.
Yeah. So if you want to upgrade, absolutely email us. We will get you taken care of. It's much easier if you're using a credit card, but if you're using PayPal, we will give you the steps to do so. But we will get you taken care
of. I'm not a fan of PayPal.
And if that was not your question, I'm sorry. If we don't get to it here, email support and we will clarify that. Whatever your question was for.
Exactly.
We kind of inferred a lot there, Ophir.
We did. I blame it on you.
That's fine. I am reading the questions. Can alerts be set up for VIX, UVIX,
I think so.
UVXY, and their kin? I believe.
think so. Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. So let's go to here. Let's go here. Let's
Let
back.
me rephrase. I know yes on VIX. I don't know on the other two.
I don't think there's any reason not. Let me try. Let's try and do something. Let's VIX, UVXY, and what? We'll just do these two. Let's go. So yes. So here's a back. I don't even know what I'm back testing. Hold on,
It
guys.
looks
We
like
gotta
a
we gotta figure out
short
we gotta
call.
figure out what I just back tested.
Short call.
I'm shorting a call. Let's turn this into a call spread. Oh yeah. I'm shorting a call spread. Let's get out of this. I think we just found a trade, guys.
I was gonna say, did we just add to our alerts here?
If anybody wondered if I care about the webinar or trading, here's your answer. Interrupt the webinar for a trade. So here's a short call spread. Ooh, juicy. Let me take this out. Oh, I like.
I was gonna say it works well without the stop too.
I like. Yeah. So yes. So sorry. If you're selling a call spread in the VIX or UVXY, then and you like this technical condition. What's a technical condition?
There's no technical conditions right now.
I want to do it when I only want to do this if VIX is below 17. Huh? Then you would say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to add the alert, actually.
Ophir just found a trade that he's gonna save for himself. So
that's right.
please hold while he
VIX and UVXY with VIX below 17. Thanks for the idea. And yes, you can set those alerts.
That's actually one of our frequent flyers in community. So
okay.
So you should thank them there.
You're all thanked. Many of you. Okay.
All right. I got a yearly subscription during a simpler trading webinar. Did that come with CML Pro?
Yeah. Oh, no. No, CML Pro is a different product. It's long-term stock. So I'll just show you what it looks like, just so you don't have to imagine it. I speak with CEOs and CFOs and experts, like prior employees of companies, whatever, and we have a group of top picks. Well, I call them after this winners. You know what, Mandy? I just did that 15-minute thing, that podcast or whatever. We should just send that to everyone. And then they'll know.
We are going to send you a podcast that Ophir just did.
And then you'll know what kind of like what an after this winner is. It's like a group of technology companies that I follow, and then we get the results verified by an auditor, and we've been doing it for 8.5 years. Well, not 8.5 years, 8 years and 2 months, and these are the results. CML Pro, NASDAQ, blah blah blah. But CML Pro is not a part of TradeMachine. It is interesting that you ask because CML Pro now is $39 a month. It is going up to $69 a month soon. And then it might come to the point where I only sell it annually. If you're a current member, don't worry. You're a CML, your price never changes. But if you want CML Pro, now would be.
It also applies to TradeMachine.
Yes, of course. That's TradeMachine.
Once you're in, you're in. As long as you don't cancel, you don't see a price increase.
Yeah.
So
don't worry.
Now's the time to get in before we add all these new features. Like
just imagine if we add 0 DTE. You think it's going to be the same price? Anyone? No? Yeah, it's okay. There's going to be a 0 at the end of the price. So I'm just reminding you. So
once you're locked in with us. We don't raise your price.
Yep.
But if you want more information about CML Pro, we're going to send a web or a podcast that Ophir just did, so you can learn more about that. And if you still have questions, you can email support.
Yep. Okay, we have, I'm going to say 10 more minutes.
Okay, then I need to read fast. If you accidentally double up on alerts, will they be sent out more than once? So
it should not be possible to have the exact same alert. So TradeMachine should cover you like exactly the same alert. Yeah, it would overwrite it. In other words, it would overwrite. Yes. So if you set up an alert with the exact same technical conditions and
ticker, it will override it.
Yeah.
So you will not see it more than once. If you have slightly different technical conditions, it will not override it.
Yeah, and then you'll get both. Yeah.
And then you'll get both. So if you added like RSI at the end,
Yeah.
you're going to get both.
Right,
You would
right.
have to go back and delete your first alert.
Yeah.
If you don't want to see both.
Yeah.
All right. When is the next webinar? When you roll out the liquidity filter?
Yeah. Ish. Let's say in a quarter. I got to do the CML Pro webinar freaking next weekend, which is, yeah. So I would say probably in 3 to 4 months we'll do this again, and I'll have another go around with the other sectors, and then we should all be comfortable.
Can you show again how to paste the best selected symbols to create alerts?
Yeah, for sure. So let's do a portfolio, NASDAQ 100. Let's make it fast. This is a stupid strategy, so don't pay no attention to the strategy. I just want it to run. Not a surprise, don't sell call spreads. Let me do a smaller grouping. I think XLE is smaller. Let's just do XLE. Okay. I'll show you that little shortcut I figured out. Jay did some cool character handling, which made this possible. Okay, so let's say I have no idea what this is. I'm just gonna say, let's say I wanted these. Okay, thank you. Let's say I wanted these 6 for whatever reason. So if I add this alert, it's going to add all of these tickers, but I only want these 6. So I go to add alert. The tickers are here for me, right? So you can do this with keyboard strokes, but I'm just trying to make it plainly obvious with the mouse. So select all, copy these, right? Go back into the same strategy, turn it to ticker, and then just throw these tickers in. Now add the alert, and you'll only get those 6 tickers. So that's the shortcut.
And I'll throw in here, because this seems like a good place to mention it. When you save an alert like this, with multiple tickers, when you get that alert, it is going to load the strategy with all the tickers.
Yes.
Even if only one ticker is
alerted. Let's say ExxonMobil triggered. You're going to get this. You're sending this to yourself. You're sending this link to yourself. So you're going to get all the other ones too. That's why I do it like that. So at least I'm only looking at the companies I'm interested in, as opposed to the whole XLF or the whole XLE.
Also, don't delete your backtest link in your alerts.
Don't delete your back. Yes. Do not
like Ophir said, you can remove it.
Yeah.
But we highly, highly don't recommend that, because
then you're going to get an alert and you have no idea what happened. Don't
Exactly.
delete this link. You're just going to screw yourself. You're going to be like, I got an alert of a trade I wanted to do, and I have no idea what it is.
Exactly. All right, next question. Another question about CML Pro. They're actually asking if we can send a link to every CML service. So I think when we send out that podcast, we can add
here's
the
the
links
easiest
to
way
everything
to
else.
satisfy your CML Pro fix. It's Bitly. I just created a Bitly. It's Bitly CML Pro, but Bitly is weird. CMLP are capitalized. And Pro isn't. Yes, and it does matter. So I'm going to put it here. I'll put it in chat. Where's chat? There's chat. So
All right, while you do that, because we're running out of time, I'm going to keep reading. Ophir, the back test results are quite impressive. What are the forward test results? I.e., how well does TM actually perform in actual trading? I think we covered that.
That's why I did a webinar 4 months later, because it's a fair. Remember what I said? I said it's a fair question, right? It's fair. So
absolutely.
I'll get there. Hold on.
Do you have to go through your whole conversation with Ben
The whole thing
again?
The whole thing. And I missed it. See that?
You went way too fast.
Because you're trying to be smart. Hold on.
That's what I'm here for.
There. So from the date of the webinar to, basically today, here's how it did. Here's how these alerts did. Though I only did the QQQ, right? So.
And we're going to send out that webinar again, or you can get, if you're faster than me, you can go to the Learn tab and find it. And you can see what the results were as of November 18th when we did that webinar.
Right.
So you can see what it is there, you can see what it is now, and kind of get your idea as to how it's actually performed in those times.
Yeah, and time is on our side. Like the more time that passes, that you should be getting kind of the results we're kind of hoping for. So I didn't want to do it a month later because it just kind of would have been luck. It could have been good, but it would have, I mean, 3 trades don't mean anything. So
All right. Someone's asking, is TradeMachine 5 different than the previous version? And is there any changes to Platinum
oh
subscribers?
no, it's a
That's just a
URL.
link.
Yeah.
That's just a link.
There's only one TradeMachine. Yeah. It's a fair question.
After running the back test and you choose add alert on selected tickers and then copy and paste the tickers and then add alert again. Why?
Oh, so that I only get alerts for exactly the tickers I want. If I just add alert from my whole portfolio, so from the whole portfolio, I'm going to get alerts for every single ticker.
Yeah.
Even the ones that I don't want.
It's just cleaner.
I mean, we're obviously Jason's going to code it up at some point where you just click it and then you just say add checked alerts. Obviously, that's coming at some point. I think we can all see it's coming. Right?
Yeah. How do we know what limit price to use for buying options at the end of the day? Also, is there a place where we can get free live options prices? That's actually a great question, Ophir. We didn't touch on that today.
No, and yes. So let's say you're interested in ExxonMobil, just for whatever. And you're like, huh, this is interesting. Oh, let's see the options chain. Just click the options chain. And this should be relatively, well,
It's
exactly.
Saturday.
Exactly. That's relatively near time. So that's where you would get the live options data. If something triggers, and it's live, you'll get this green. This thing will be green. What was the first part of the question? Oh, how do I know what the price is? Oh, I mean, it's the price as of 15 minutes before the close. So you just go to your brokerage.
Specifically the limit price to use.
Oh, well, if you're using mid market, you would want to buy or sell at that price. If you're doing the limits, there's no limit here, but let's say it's a 50% limit and you're buying something for $1, the limit would be $1.50, right? You've made 50%. So after you open your trade, you can, and I certainly do. I go back in and I put a closing trade in with my limit 150, just so I don't have to think. I can't think about every trade after that.
Right.
I mean, I can now because I don't trade very much. In the old days, I could.
It's 4:40 right now. Would you like to take a few more?
No, that's it. We're done. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope
Any
this was
questions we
instructive.
didn't get to, you can ask Max in community, specifically at Uncle Pops, tag him, because we're gonna make sure he has a lot of notifications for Monday morning.
Ooh, look.
Otherwise,
You guys see this? Are you guys seeing the claps?
I see them.
You do. This is why I do it. This is why I come to work every day. It's for the floating. Oh, look, a party.
Oh, we got some party balloons and hearts. Yes, love it. Any other questions that you have, you can also send in.
I got an OMG thumbs up.
Yeah.
We should do an entire webinar just on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
He gets very distracted with the Zoom buttons.
Laughing
so he loves the whiteboard and the annotations. So
it's all a mystery to me.
It's gonna come for the next webinar.
I can do AI. I don't understand how to do emojis. Yes. Oh, I could do that. Here, let me do that right now. I'm gonna go right here.
Well, I'm gonna ask you another question since we're still here.
Say this. Sorry, I can't write with my hand.
Can you give a brief overview of how the data content that Ask GPT works on? Is it CML specific data, open source data, or real time?
Yeah, so a little bit of all. You guys have to send emojis right now, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Someone please send an emoji right now. Please. Thank you. This is awesome. Okay. So they're asking about, how do I stop annotating? Okay. I want to stop annotating.
You hit the little pencil again.
No, it's changed. Okay, there. Excellent. So there is, for people who are, okay, I don't know how to clear the annotation. Hold on.
Hit the little pencil again.
Oh yeah, no, where's clear?
And then hit clear.
I don't see clear.
It's a little trash. It's a
trash can. Trash can. Clear all my drawings. Okay. So someone was asking, like, when you go here, what are you getting? Some of it is, right, that is a thumbs up. Some of it is TradeMachine specific or CML specific. Some of it is more open source-ish. So like if you're like, what is the latest inflation data? That's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that we're bringing into our database. So that's public data. deserves all of these. So, here's like CPI and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's it. But if you're asking for like, what is a good option strategy for Microsoft? No, everybody wants to know what a good option strategy is for NVIDIA. You can just ask, and this is just going to go to TradeMachine. Right. So here you go. Here's an answer of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 strategies for NVIDIA. You're welcome. So it's both. Okay.
Right.
That's it. Thank you everyone for your time today. It was a Saturday. It was splendid to have you. I appreciate the emojis. I hope you learned something. If you're not a TradeMachine member, you should be a TradeMachine member. If you don't want to be a TradeMachine member, that's okay too, actually. I hope you have a fabulous Saturday anyway. I will see you guys in community. Goodbye. Thanks, Mandy. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, and then I have to leave. So I stop my share. Very confusing. Okay, bye, guys.